Having siblings is troublesome. Imagine sharing everything, arguing regarding trivial matters, and the prejudice between sisters and brothers. Just the thought of it gives me a headache. Anyway, I'm sure you guys prefer a typical cute romance between two youngsters falling in love in their youth. However, do you think it's very bland? I mean, yes, it's fun to read, but wouldn't you like something intriguing? What's up, guys? In today's series, there's a question that has yet to be answered. What if you fall in love with the person you treat as sibling? Would you cut off that brother image and let your real feelings emerge victorious? Or you'll remain as a tsundere who can't express your feelings? Meet Echigaya Odo, our MC, and the brotherly figure of his dear stepsister Shizuku, who is younger than him. Shizuku is bossy and unreasonable. Unlike normal siblings, they don't mix their laundry. He always bathes after her. He's not allowed to touch her dishes or her things. At school, they don't engage in any kind of conversation. Yep, they both act like a complete stranger at school. Shizuku thinks having our MC as her brother would tarnish her reputation. Time flies, and Aken's present situation paints a stark contrast to his past. As he attends school, a somber shadow casts upon his features, his eyes devoid of their former spark. This peculiar demeanor catches the attention of Rinko, a classmate who greets him each morning. With a keen eye, she discerns a palpable change in his countenance, deducing that his stepsister, Shizuku, is once again tormenting him, a presumption that holds some truth. Aken's irritation flares at Rinko's apparent intrusion into his personal affairs. His sharp words betrayed his frustration, belying her genuine concern for his well-being. Amidst this exchange, Rinko's confession becomes a significant turning point. In stark contrast to Shizuku's daily exhortations for him to meet an untimely demise, Rinko professes her constant admiration for Aken. Yet his perception remains clouded, misinterpreting her words as platonic affection rather than romantic interest. If Aken allows this misunderstanding to shape his actions and confesses to Rinko, he faces an inevitable rejection. However, in the present moment, Rinko offers him a novel perspective. She urges him to tap into his big brother energy to control Shizuku's behavior. Aken dismisses this suggestion, unconvinced that he possesses any such authority. And so, the reign of terror continued under the tyrannical rule of my pint-sized nemesis. From confiscating my favorite snacks to marking up my textbooks with atrocious drawings, life as her underling was a never-ending battle of wits, and a constant reminder of the age-old adage, never trust anyone smaller than you with a permanent marker. However, Rinko believes that if she were to assume his role and unleash her anger upon Shizuku, the desired effect would be achieved. Her boundless affection for Aken fuels her confidence in this improbable scenario. I find myself questioning the roller coaster of events that have transpired between himself and Shizuku. Rewind the clock 12 years and you'll witness a fateful encounter that would shape their paths irrevocably. She was a young orphan, lost and alone, her countenance ravaged by the vicissitudes of life. Each attempt he made to uplift her spirits seemed to fall on deaf ears, ultimately culminating in the callous disregard she exhibits towards him today. To think that this young girl, who once regarded him as her protective big brother, would now treat him with such blatant disrespect is simply unfathomable. Her behavior has reached a point of insolence that defies all norms of familial bond. Gone is the playful camaraderie that once characterized our relationship. In its place has emerged a suffocating chasm, an unbridgeable void that separates us. Within the confines of our humble abode, Shizuku sprawls over me as he reclines on the couch, immersed in the pages of a magazine. Evidently, she has found some arcane tome on the art of hypnotism, and is engrossed in its contents. As the words waking up float through the air, a flicker of concern stirs within me. It seems she intends to experiment on me, using this dubious technique to gain control over my actions. The book explains that once a subject has been fully hypnotized, they will fall under the complete sway of the hypnotist. Any suggestion, however absurd or potentially harmful, will be acted upon without question. It's said that the hypnotist can order their subject to wander the town naked or to erase all memories of their time under hypnosis. However, failure to successfully hypnotize a subject even once renders them immune to future attempts, so caution must be exercised. With growing apprehension, he realizes that Shizuku's ultimate goal is to orchestrate his demise. Wow, I can't believe he just realized that her primary objective here is to manipulate him into doing her bidding. I mean, it's not like she's a used car salesman or something. But hey, who can resist her perfectly crafted words and arguments? You'd be a fool not to fall for her tricks. Just think of it as a little game. Aken against Shizuku, trying to figure out my ultimate plan. And the best part, he's probably going to fail miserably. She forcibly awakens me from his feigned slumber, her eyes burning with an intensity that sends shivers down his spine. At first, he dismisses it as playful banter, but as she demonstrates the undeniable power of her newfound abilities, he can no longer feign indifference. The realization that his own sister harbors sinister intentions toward me leaves me shaken to my core. Within the intricate tapestry of human relationships, motives and intentions often intertwine, obscuring the true nature of actions. In this instance, the reason for Shizuku's manipulation of her brother was as transparent as the azure sky, evident even to the most discerning of creatures. Her machinations unfolded with an ominous precision, her strategy akin to a finely orchestrated dance of deception. With the cunning of a skilled strategist, Shizuku aimed to obliterate his social existence, plunging him into the depths of isolation and alienation. The method she chose was as ancient as time itself: hypnotism. Well, that's not entirely true. It appears to work just fine on anyone who believes in it. In a darkened room, she forced his eyes open, her gaze locking with his. The hypnotic dance began, the rhythm of her words flowing over his mind like a hypnotic spell. He struggled against the relentless tide of her influence, yet his consciousness slowly succumbed, sinking deeper and deeper into the abyss of her control. Through the haze of his fading awareness, he uttered words of regret, apologizing for his shortcomings as an older brother and for his inability to bring joy to her heart. With a heavy sigh, his voice trailed off, the weight of his perceived failures bearing down upon him. The effort that counts. You were great. For there are those who fail to appreciate the value of effort, who remain eternally oblivious to the sacrifices made on their behalf. Yet fate had an unexpected twist in store. The hypnotism upon which Shizuku had placed all her hopes had failed. The thread of control that had bound him had snapped, leaving him free to confront the consequences of her actions. With a chilling realization, he noticed that she held a drill in her trembling hand, its deadly potential unmistakable. To his horror, she pointed it directly at him, her eyes devoid of any semblance of human emotion. The absurdity of the situation was almost comical, yet the threat it posed was anything but. With no way out, he lied. He pretended to still be under the influence of the hypnosis, fearing the brutal consequences if she discovered the truth. And so he enacted his role, uttering a love confession that sent shivers down his spine. But Shizuku was no ordinary girl. A tempest of emotions raged within her, and her inner turmoil exploded in a fury. How dare this pervert, this brother of hers, profess his love to her? The hypocrisy of it all was enough to drive her mad. Her madness manifested itself in a string of bizarre and depraved orders. She forced him to kiss her, an act that violated every moral and familial boundary. Who would kiss their own sibling, after all? Yet here stood Shizuku, a twisted and unhinged creature determined to push the boundaries of human decency to its utmost limits. In the midst of their heated encounter, it seemed as though their lips didn't brush upon each other. But at the 11th hour, Atkin's instincts kicked in. He deftly maneuvered away from Shizuku's advances, attempting to redirect the conversation towards a more innocuous topic, specifically the procurement of a fish known as kiss. In the land of the rising sun, there exists a peculiar aquatic delicacy that goes by the quaint moniker of kiss. Atkin's attempt to steer the conversation in this direction was met with perplexed silence from Shizuku. It appeared that Atkin's feeble attempts at misdirection had fallen on deaf ears. Shizuku's gaze burned intensely into Atkin's, her unspoken yearning palpable in the air between them. She had poured her heart and soul into kindling a flame within him, only to be met with this untimely resistance. A flicker of doubt crossed her mind as she questioned whether Atkin's hypnotic trance had truly taken hold. "Do you truly find yourself under the spell of a mere threat?" Shizuku inquired, her voice dripping with a mixture of incredulity and frustration. Even after the supposed hypnotic enchantment, Atkin's denseness remained an impenetrable wall. Undeterred by Shizuku's thinly veiled sarcasm, Atkin remained steadfast in his resolve. "Regardless of your intentions," he stated firmly, "a kiss is an intimate gesture that transcends mere whimsy. Our familial bond, albeit not forged by blood, compels me to treat you with the utmost respect. Therefore, I cannot, under any circumstances, bring myself to indulge in such an act." His fumbled attempts at a feeble excuse were accompanied by a performance so contrived as to suggest a master hypnotist had taken control of his mind. "If you're burning with curiosity about the inanity of his explanation, allow me to enlighten you." He invoked the absurd notion that virginity was contingent upon the absence of kissing. Ah, my faux pas. I let the secret slip. Emboldened by this revelation, he demanded further elucidation, citing the vast array of kisses available. Alas, she had no desire to be coerced. Beneath her veneer of indifference lay a perplexing paradox, an inexplicable pride mingled with an unbearable embarrassment that prevented her from articulating her desire for his kiss. Her life assumed an air of recklessness as she invoked the specter of death should she be denied her longed-for kiss. He pressed her for specifics, seeking to unravel the enigma of her request. Yet her embarrassment overwhelmed her, compelling her to leave him to grapple with the mystery alone. Moreover, she harbored the suspicion that Akin merely sought to extract from her lewd confessions, branding him a womanizer in her mind's eye. Finally, she said it out loud. However, there's no second left in her words, so she wants the typical drama wherein the guy pins the girl against the wall and then whispers things about her not being his little sister as she is his personal whore. And she wants him saying it while their tongues intertwine. Girl, that's one hell of another story in your mind. That's really a massive masochistic thing. Now she's even giving him that self-satisfied look after saying lame and creepy things. Our MC really wants to make fun of her masochistic orders and how incredibly lame she sounds. But now that she has already given the details, that's where the problem lies. There's no escape. As he faced the inevitable, he realized the grim truth. He was hopelessly trapped, ensnared by her unspoken threat. Desperation clawed at his mind, urging him to find an escape from the looming doom. With each passing moment, her anticipation intensified, a silent countdown to the inevitable KB dawn that would seal his fate. His heart pounded in his chest as he grappled with the futility of his situation. He had attempted to reason, to explain the folly of their current actions, but his words fell on deaf ears, suspicion poisoning her mind. He was a pawn in her game, forced to succumb to her whims or face dire consequences. If he refused to follow her twisted script, his life would be extinguished. Alternatively, if he acquiesced, he would be consumed by a paralyzing sense of shame that would haunt him for eternity. Faced with this impossible choice, he begrudgingly opted for physical death over the insidious torment of psychological torture. He yearned for a swift end to this macabre charade, but fate had other plans in store for him. As he prepared himself for the inevitable, a glimmer of hope appeared when their mother unexpectedly arrived. To his astonishment, she intervened with a swift and decisive act of violence, strangling his brother and brandishing a 5-yen coin before him. Hypnotism. I believe in it as much as I believe in the existence of unicorns with roller skates. With an authoritative tone, she commanded him to erase the memories of this night from his mind. Little did she know that the hypnotic trance had failed to take hold. As the two brothers sat down on the sofa, their behavior was inexplicably transformed. The rancor that had once poisoned their relationship seemed to have dissipated, replaced by a strange and uncanny sense of harmony. The twisted path their lives had taken had led to an unexpected outcome. The hypnotic suggestion that was intended to end their bond had inadvertently reignited it. Their fate remained uncertain, but for the moment, they found themselves caught in a surreal limbo, grappling with the consequences of a night that would forever alter the course of their existence. Akin's fingers danced across the keyboard, navigating the vast expanse of the internet. His eyes scanned the digital landscape, searching for news of interest. As he scrolled, a piece of information caught his attention. Sasamop's latest novel had once again ascended to the coveted top spot in the rankings. This came as no surprise, and its popularity is a testament to Sasamop's prodigious writing abilities. Akin's gaze shifted downward, where his own novel, I Have a Crush on My Tsundere Stepsister, languished at a distant 16th place. A bittersweet pang of disappointment washed over him. At least he managed to overcome the writer's block and finish a whole damn novel, even if it reads like a drunken goose had to go at it with a dried-out Sharpie on the back of a napkin. But hey, it's done, and he didn't have to resort to using crayons or carving it into the walls like some cave-dwelling novelist. Now, if only he could convince my cat that he's not the main character and that his thoughts on quantum physics are not quite as groundbreaking as he believes. Despite his aspirations, he remained an obscure author, his name failing to resonate with the wider literary audience. He was simply Ichigaya Oto, a high school student who happened to write light novels. Though he bore the title of light novel author, Akin's status was far removed from the celebrated bestsellers that graced the shelves of every bookstore. He was a nameless scribbler, his words destined to fade into obscurity. The web novel he had penned as a whimsical pastime had fortuitously found its way into print, but the harsh reality of the publishing world had dashed his hopes of financial success, And so, Aken's journey continued, a solitary figure navigating the murky waters of the literary realm. While others soared to dizzying heights, he remained grounded, his dreams fading with each passing day like a distant star eclipsed by the blinding brilliance of its celestial counterparts. Shizuku, standing before him with unwavering resolve, extended her palm, revealing the glimmering 5-yen coin. Its gleam held the power to mesmerize, the same power she had used to ensnare his mind once before. Unaware of the futility of her attempt, Shizuku invoked its hypnotic allure, desperate to regain her sway over him. He, however, had mastered the art of deceit. Despite the coin's hypnotic presence, his mind remained unyielding, a bastion of resistance. The fear of her wrath should her deception be revealed held him captive, forcing him to feign hypnosis. Why be so scared of your younger sisters? Because they hold secrets that could make you wish you were never born. They know the things you've done, the things you're hiding, and the things you're most afraid of. So next time you see your younger sister, remember, she's not just your little sister. She's your master of blackmail. Thus he played the part, concealing his true intentions beneath a veil of submission. With the coin firmly in her grasp, Shizuku issued her commands, her voice a silken snare. She yearned for him to revert to the loving and protective sibling he had once been, an innocent facade he effortlessly assumed. Her heartstrings yearned for his affection, oblivious to the charade unfolding before her. Emboldened by his compliance, Shizuku ventured a question, probing the depths of his alleged love for her. Trapped within the web of deception, he mustered a feeble confession, his voice trembling with forced sincerity. "I love you," he uttered, a hollow echo of the genuine emotion he dared not express. To his astonishment, Shizuku's response was not one of joy or gratitude. Instead, a tempest of fury erupted within her, her tsundere nature flaring with unpredictable intensity. As if the confession had been his own unprompted utterance, she lunged at him, her delicate hands tightening around his throat. Strangulation seemed imminent as her rage consumed her. "Confess," she shrieked, her voice a venomous whisper. "Confess that you love me." Amidst the chaos and confusion, he realized the folly of his situation. Women, he reflected with wry resignation, were enigmatic creatures, their motives as capricious as the wind. Amidst the chaos, she swiftly dragged him into Shizuku's room, her stern voice echoing through the space, "Sit still." With a commanding tone, she ordered him to retrieve a specific page from a book, page 16 to be exact. As his eyes fell upon the page, a flicker of recognition washed over him. It was his own light novel, a secret he had guarded closely. But the enigma deepened further. How had Shizuku come into possession of such a personal work? No one but his beloved mother knew of his literary pursuits. It seemed that Shizuku had stumbled upon his treasure and had elevated it to the realm of divine literature. As he delved deeper into her sanctuary, he discovered undeniable evidence of her fervent adoration. The book bore witness to over 100 readings, its pages well thumbed and cherished. To his astonishment, she had acquired every exclusive item from the book's official merch store. Bonus items, drama CDs, tapestries, and keychains. Each trinket served as a testament to her unyielding enthusiasm. In the early hours of dawn, as the first rays of sunlight pierced through the cracks in the curtains, a young man named Shizuku found himself reluctantly turning to page 16 of a peculiarly disturbing manuscript. It was an excerpt he had penned himself, but now, as he reread his own words, he couldn't help but cringe at their lameness. The protagonist of the text, a brother, proclaimed his sister's cuteness to be so overwhelming that he longed to devour her. Aken, despite being the author, couldn't bring himself to comprehend the bizarre nature of his own creation. However, his torment reached a new level when his sister, equally perplexed by the text, demanded that he read it aloud to her. Shizuku's initial apprehension subsided as he realized that merely reading the words was preferable to the abhorrent alternative of kissing his sibling. Yet, as they delved deeper into the narrative, an unforeseen twist occurred. His sister, apparently inspired by the text, felt compelled to engage in an interactive dialogue with her brother. To Aken's growing horror, she began stripping away her clothing, exposing her delicate undergarments. As her bra appeared before his eyes, a torrent of blood erupted from Shizuku's body, an involuntary reaction to the unexpected revelation. Shizuku, alarmed by her brother's sudden distress, desperately attempted to stop the bleeding. At that moment, Shizuku realized that he had unwittingly embarked on a path of unimaginable torment. The events he had once considered merely absurd words had now taken on a horrifying reality, leaving him forever haunted by the depths of his own imagination. Over the past week, he had been perpetually feigning hypnosis, with Shizuku exerting her influence on him almost relentlessly every single day. His resilience was nearing its limits, and if this charade continued unabated, he risked exposure. Rinko, his perceptive childhood friend, couldn't help but be concerned by the lifelessness that had once again crept into his eyes. She surmised that another incident had transpired between them. Despite her disarming appearance, Rinko possessed a sharp mind, and this was both a blessing and a curse for him. Oh, the woes of having a friend with the vision of a hawk. Like a stealthy ninja, they notice even the tiniest of details, leaving me feeling like an open book with my secrets on full display. It's like they have their own personal superpower to embarrass me at the most unexpected moments. He confessed that something significant had indeed occurred, but he was wary of divulging any specifics. However, Rinko's keen observation detected a telltale twitch in his nose, indicating that his words were less than truthful. His demeanor betrayed him, revealing that something momentous had indeed happened. In a playful gesture, she offered him the comfort of her lap if he was in distress, eliciting a surge of jealousy from Shizuku, who overheard their flirtatious banter. This realization sent shivers down his spine. It was no wonder she had been so intent on his presence, constantly commanding him to come to her. However, Rinko intervened, preventing Shizuku from carrying out her plan. She reproached Shizuku for her heavy-handed approach. One would think we've evolved past the level of kindergartners fighting over a toy boy, but apparently not. Shizuku's sudden retort left our protagonist taken aback. Her cold dismissal stung as she nonchalantly brushed him off, declaring him utterly unremarkable. This ignited a fiery verbal altercation, with insults flying back and forth like daggers. Shizuku's sharp tongue labeled him as an unappealing pig, and a washboard, her words cutting deep. He yearned to escape the unbearable tension, but his feet seemed rooted in place. Despite the heated exchange, an unexpected order from Shizuku caught him off guard. She instructed him to watch over a 5-yen coin with unwavering vigilance, a command he obeyed with exaggerated motions, feigning complete hypnosis. But his performance was merely a facade to conceal his true intentions. As the charade continued, Shizuku issued another peculiar instruction. She demanded he enact a violent yet passionate scene against the wall, uttering the melodramatic line, "I love you more than that plain woman." Desperate to avoid her wrath, he played along, his mind racing to evade detection. However, despite being the instigator of this bizarre drama, Shizuku remained steadfast in her resistance, akin to the leading lady in a romantic film. Amidst the absurdity, Shizuku paused abruptly, seemingly awaiting his improvisation. Though unnerved, he summoned his writing skills and delivered a believable performance, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that his hollow words would be exposed by her discerning gaze. To his astonishment, Shizuku's reaction was one of utter satisfaction. She clung to him tightly, her embrace an unexpected reward for his performance. It appeared that her lack of perception had played in his favor. "Pin you against a wall, you say? Well, considering that I weigh about as much as a bag of wet cement and have the physical coordination of a newborn giraffe, such an endeavor would be about as successful as trying to trap a cloud in a net." Flushed with triumph, Shizuku declared her unwavering love for him, vowing to prevent him from falling into the clutches of Rinko. The mention of Rinko's name sent a chill down his spine. He shared no romantic entanglements with her, but Shizuku's possessive demands had forced him into a perilous position. He arranged to meet with Rinko after school, his heart heavy with dread. Rinko's unwavering affection for him was evident in her eagerness, her heart fluttering at the prospect of their encounter. However, she remained oblivious to the sinister plot that awaited her. As he faced Rinko, he steeled himself to deliver the heartless rejection Shizuku had commanded, knowing full well the devastating blow it would deal to her fragile heart. In the intricate web of human emotions, the longing for love often eclipses reason, driving individuals to desperate measures. Such is the case with Shizuku, a young woman whose unrequited love for her adoptive brother, Seiji, compels her to succumb to the allure of hypnotism. Shizuku's journey is marked by a profound fear of rejection. Having been abandoned by her biological parents, she instinctively safeguards herself against potential pain. Her longing for Akon's love becomes a consuming obsession, rendering her vulnerable to the manipulation of others. When she encounters a skilled hypnotist who promises to grant her wishes, Shizuku is unable to resist the temptation. Hypnotism offers a sanctuary where her deepest desires can be fulfilled without the risk of rejection. It becomes a coping mechanism, a way to escape the harsh realities of her emotional turmoil. We cannot condemn Shizuku for choosing this path. Her actions are driven by a primal need for love and acceptance, In the face of such overwhelming fear, it is understandable why she would seek solace in a realm where she can control the outcome. She is not inherently weak or manipulative, but rather a victim of her circumstances. To blame Shizuku for her actions would be to overlook the complexities of human emotion and the power of desperation. Her story is a cautionary tale about the risks of suppressing our feelings and the dangers of seeking love in unhealthy ways. Ultimately, it is through understanding and empathy that we can truly address the root causes of Shizuku's behavior and help her find a healthier path to love and fulfillment. As our protagonist and Rinko encountered each other, it was evident that Rinko had undergone a striking transformation. Her appearance was noticeably different from their previous encounters, captivating his gaze with her elegant attire. Adorned in a skirt that exuded a mesmerizing allure, she emanated an undeniable cuteness that left him speechless. If he were to award her with points for her ensemble, he would undoubtedly grant her a commendable 95 out of 100. Oh, how adorable! It's like watching a baby giraffe trying to walk for the first time. So clumsy yet so captivatingly endearing. It had been an extended period since he had invited Rinko on an outing. Their last shared date had taken place during the depths of winter. In his perspective, it was not truly considered a date as they crossed paths on a daily basis. However, despite this seemingly mundane routine, girls harbored an unspoken desire for occasional special treatment. Overwhelmed by the magnitude of the event unfolding before him, he had momentarily neglected this fundamental truth. He found himself embroiled in an extraordinary situation where he was tasked with confessing his long-held affections for his childhood friend, Shizuku, while simultaneously admitting his deeper feelings for her sister. As Shizuku surreptitiously observed their interaction, a growing sense of unease washed over her. Sensing her mounting irritation, our protagonist instructed Rinko to close her eyes and seal her ears. Obediently, Rinko complied, her heart filled with anticipation for a heartwarming confession. Turning his attention to Shizuku, he forcefully commanded her to remain motionless, promising to fulfill her wishes. Overhearing every uttered word, Rinko carefully transcribed her thoughts into a notebook. With profound disappointment, she denounced Akon's actions as cruel. He had lured her into closing her eyes with the tantalizing prospect of a surprise, only to reveal his true intentions. Rinko fully understood the complexities of his predicament. She recognized that Shizuku's manipulative nature had coerced him into this uncomfortable situation. Well, it's not like Rinko got a degree in arcana analysis or anything, but I guess some people are just naturally gifted at understanding the complexities of human interactions and supernatural influences. Let's give her a round of applause for her amazing deductive skills. Moreover, she had astutely deduced that he was concealing his true feelings with a pair of headphones. Rinko skillfully feigned hurt and rode the emotional wave orchestrated by our protagonist. Rinko's enigmatic demeanor has always been a paradox, concealing a keen intellect beneath an air of aloofness. Despite her apparent indifference, she possesses an uncanny ability to perceive the most subtle nuances, a trait that remains unwavering even in the current situation. For the sake of her friend, Rinko has chosen to indulge in this intricate game, knowing that the revelation to come will be so profound that Akon would be unable to find fault, even if their relationship were to end abruptly. She's here as a supporting actor, not by choice, mind you. Akon was coerced, blackmailed, and threatened with lifelong ridicule if she didn't help her friend. So as she looks wooden, it's because she's petrified and internally screaming. However, this is not an ordinary pawn Rinko they are dealing with, but her astute childhood companion. Through the haze of Shizuku's machinations, Rinko's penetrating gaze can discern the orchestrated nature of Akon's words and actions. Her unwavering composure will not falter upon hearing his carefully rehearsed lines. Unveiling the truth behind the facade, Akon dutifully follows Shizuku's script as Rinko feigns understanding, her feigned tears and disheveled appearance adding an air of authenticity. As the drama escalates, Rinko takes matters into her own hands, rising and confronting Shizuku with the swift and decisive pouring a cup of coffee. And so, the decisive love battle takes its first tumultuous step, the stage set for an intense and unpredictable clash of emotions. Where affections intertwine like threads, there unfolds a timeless tale, a play woven around the primal instincts of women vying for the heart of one man. Step into the grand hall where Lady Camille, the childhood sweetheart, and Lady Ania, the enigmatic stepsister, cross paths. Their shared history with Lord Edward becomes a catalyst for an epic rivalry. Camille, with her gentle grace and abiding love, has always been Edward's confidant. Ania, on the other hand, exudes an allure that stirs Edward's blood. Their battle for his affections ignites a fire that threatens to consume both the palace and the hearts of its inhabitants. As the play progresses, the stage becomes a battleground of wit and manipulation. Camille's loyalty is tested by Edward's growing closeness to Anya, while Anya's ambitions are fueled by Camille's unyielding presence. The audience witnesses a captivating dance of emotions where love, jealousy, and desperation collide. The pinnacle of the play arrives with a dramatic confrontation between the two women. In a moment of passion and desperation, their rivalry erupts into a physical altercation. Swords clash and bodies collide, each woman determined to prove her worthiness to their beloved. The audience is left on the edge of their seats, enthralled by the raw intensity and complexity of the characters. In the midst of escalating turmoil, our main character selflessly attempted to intervene as Rinko's actions spiraled out of control. However, Rinko remained steadfast in her conviction that her retribution was both just and necessary. Fueled by the perceived injustices she had endured at the hands of her rival, Shizuku. In the grand theater of their rivalry, they clawed at each other like a pair of overzealous kittens, battling for a sliver of tuna more precious than all the treasures in El Dorado. Undeterred, Akon confronted Rinko with a chilling rebuke, labeling her as pathetic, echoing the inherent futility of her scheme. Though Rinko's anger flared momentarily, she stifled her emotions, recognizing the wisdom in Akon's words. This strategic concession allowed Akon to evade detection. Amidst the theatrical chaos, a moment of tender intimacy unfolded as Shizuku embraced Akon, whispering the heartfelt words, "I love you." Rinko's mind raced with doubts, questioning whether Akon's affections were genuine or merely the result of some manipulative force exerted by Shizuku. Driven by suspicion, another clash erupted between Rinko and Shizuku. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves. Love has just met its ultimate match, or should we say it's a double threat. These two fearsome femmes are on a mission to conquer hearts and leave no stone unturned. Be warned, their determination knows no bounds, and their love knows no limits. Prepare for an epic clash of the titans where passion and chaos collide with thunderous force. But hey, who needs world peace when we witness these two unstoppable forces turn their sights on love? Rinko boldly asserted her steadfast devotion to Akon, claiming to have always expressed her love unabashedly. Despite her unrequited feelings, she remained persistent in her pursuit. In stark contrast, Shizuku's obsessive infatuation with Akon bordered on delusion. She clung to the belief that Akon had always belonged to her, a conviction born from an unhealthy preoccupation. The eyes of onlookers hungrily absorbed the unfolding drama, their gazes fixated on the tumultuous scene. Shizuku defended their relationship, claiming it was built on a foundation of mutual affection. Rinko remained skeptical, dismissing their bond as a mere fabrication. With unflinching determination, Rinko vowed to expose the deceitful magic she believed was behind Shizuku's hold over Akon. Oh, the sweet, sweet irony of revealing your despised adversary's scandalous secret. It's like a revenge-infused game of Clue, but instead of a murder mystery, you're trying to humiliate your nemesis so hard that they practically vanish from existence. Cue the trumpets of triumph, folks, because this is about to get hilariously awkward. She had unraveled the intricate web of manipulation, ready to expose Shizuku's darkest secret, the hypnotic enchantment she had woven upon Akon's mind. However, the consequences of such an expose weighed heavily on her. Revealing Shizuku's treachery would inevitably wound her deeply, potentially driving her to despair. Alternatively, if Akon discovered the truth, their fragile connection would shatter irrevocably. Rinko realized that Akon had been play-acting his affection, but the depth of his deception remained elusive. With unwavering resolve, Rinko focused on unmasking Shizuku's hypnotic magic, the key to dismantling her rival's manipulative hold. As the intensity reached its crescendo, Shizuku initiated a final passionate kiss with our main character, a desperate attempt to silence the accusations. She acknowledged her guilt, expressing regret for her actions. When you deeply regret that moment of desperation when you resorted to juggling raw eggs in front of a live audience, let's just say that the aftermath resembled a scene from a particularly gruesome breakfast buffet. Cue my mental image of egg-splattered clowns and a slippery omelette dance floor. Amidst all, Rinko interjected, abruptly separating the entwined lovers. With defiance blazing in her eyes, Shizuku vowed that despite her exposure, she would never surrender Akon. The stage was set for a climactic confrontation, the outcome shrouded in uncertainty and fraught with potential heartbreak. Amidst the bustling hubbub of the Drive's publication editor's office, Akon found himself embroiled in an earnest conversation with the formidable Yoshizawa's son. The looming deadline today hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over their souls. Their last encounter, a month ago, had ignited a spark of hope, but here he stood before her, pen still barren and draft non-existent. Yoshizawa's son's piercing gaze demanded an explanation. Looks like someone's boss is auditioning for the role of the great dictator in a Mel Brooks movie. With trembling hands and a heart laden with guilt, Akon stumbled onto his knees, his voice laced with apology and desperation. The whirlwind of events since their previous meeting had consumed him, leaving no room for the solace of writing. The forbidden kiss he shared with Shizuku, the awkward distance Rinko had maintained ever since, and Shizuku's increasingly frequent hypnotic spells had rendered him a fractured soul. Back at his humble abode, Shizuku approached him, her voice laced with contrition. The absence of hypnosis stripped away the facade she projected, revealing her vulnerability. She confided in him, her words painting a tapestry of her innermost thoughts. Though he was her brother, an unbreakable bond of affection entwined their hearts. She admitted she would never harbor ill will towards him, regardless of her actions. Shizuku's confession meandered through time, recounting her descent into despair following the untimely demise of her parents. Her desolation had driven a wedge between her and the world, casting her adrift in a sea of loneliness. Yet through the tempest, Akon's unwavering presence shone as a beacon of hope. He was the only one who remained steadfast amidst her self-destructive spiral. She confessed that her genuine feelings for him transcended the boundaries of hypnosis. She yearned for the day when she could express her love without the aid of her manipulative enchantments. Returning to the mundane realities of his existence, Akon's thoughts wandered far and wide. Inazuma Publications, a formidable rival to his own Drive, boasted a renowned writer by the name of Suramoto Suzuki. Intriguingly, Suzuki shared his age bracket and possessed an unparalleled ability to craft captivating romance narratives that seemed to stem from personal experiences. She excelled in portraying timid characters who transformed into bold selves when left alone with their romantic interests, a captivating trait that resonated deeply with readers. However, Akon's mind, preoccupied with an undisclosed matter, inadvertently spoke a harsh remark to his superior, an act that subsequently haunted him. It was as if his true self, the emboldened version, had surfaced against his will. In that moment, he glimpsed the potential storyline he yearned to create, a character with traits mirroring Suzuki's heroine, a love story rooted in reality, and an unconventional premise that defied ordinary conventions. Finding inspiration proved arduous, compounded by Shizuku's persistent hypnotic spells that ceaselessly shattered his focus. The cycle was relentless. Upon exiting his workplace, Shizuku would ensnare him with her audacious request, demanding he harbors an unyielding love for her. Compelled to comply, Akon masqueraded as the infatuated beau, showering Shizuku with affections that seemed both excessive and insincere. It was during these hypnotic trances that Shizuku sought insights into Akon's perception of her, to which he responded with unwavering declarations of love and euphoric joy, a spectacle that bordered on the bizarre. And just when you thought the family dynamics couldn't get any more explosive, cue the forbidden romance between the step-siblings. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy, but with more awkward hallway encounters and secret rendezvous in broom closet. As the thought crossed his mind, a spark ignited within him. Yes, he realized he desperately needed a character like that. A premise where his stepsister, who relentlessly tormented him with daily demands for his death, surreptitiously employed hypnosis to bestow love upon him as he slumbered. Due to Akon's peculiar behavior, Shizuku had come to a faulty conclusion. Our MC harbored anger towards her because she had kissed him before Rinko. She vehemently explained that she had no other choice, as she couldn't risk her beloved Rinko snatching him away. However, Shizuku's embrace had been so fiercely constricting that it had inflicted intense nosebleeds upon him. Her aggression had only escalated since that fateful incident. The persistent nasal hemorrhaging had left both his body and mind in a state of tatters. Inevitably, Shizuku would press him, demanding to know who he loved more, her or that plain woman. The logical response, of course, was an emphatic yes, but he couldn't shake the trepidation that gnawed at him at the thought of continuing on this path. Oh, to possess the legendary sarcastic nod. A verbal lobotomy that says yes, while broadcasting, I'd rather watch Paint Chip and Joanna Gaines. Instead, he resolved to gently convey to her that their current actions were highly inappropriate. Yet given her penchant for employing drills and tasers to enforce her will, he couldn't help but bowed her demands, declaring his fictitious love for her. For now, he had no choice but to endure this predicament. He had to tread carefully, ensuring not to provoke any further escalation that might endanger his well-being. His sole focus was on finding a way to escape this bizarre and unnerving situation. Amidst the cacophony of daily life, a cryptic text message pierced through the chaos and landed on the screen of our protagonist's mobile device. It read, "Per our recent conversation regarding the book signing event for the launch of your latest volume, we have finalized the booking for 2 weeks from today, as per your request." Intrigued by the sudden reminder, our MC turned to Shizuku, his unwavering companion, and inquired about the content of the message. With a hint of reluctance, he disclosed the topic that had set his mind into a tailspin. While a fan of the series herself, Shizuku couldn't fathom the notion of the high school's queen bee gracing such a nerdy event. For those who deem this fan signing event boring, we invite you to try a rousing marathon of watching paint dry or attempting to engage in a thrilling game of let's stare at the wall and see who blinks first. Seriously, who calls a chance to meet their beloved author dull? It's like complaining that a slice of chocolate cake is too sweet or that a puppy is too darn cute. In her eyes, fans like her cared solely about the captivating storylines and intriguing characters, with little regard for the author behind the magic. As hope flickered within him, our MC cautiously broached the subject of the book signing event with Shizuku, hoping to steer her away from attending. He hinted at the author's impending presence and expressed his fervent desire for her to avoid the gathering. However, to his dismay, Shizuku's determination remained unwavering. She was adamant about seizing the opportunity to meet the mastermind behind her beloved series, even if it meant defying her companion's wishes. Resigned to his fate, our MC watched in horror as his life seemed to come to an abrupt end. But amidst his despair, a flicker of curiosity sparked within Shizuku's eyes. She pressed him for his reasons behind the request, probing gently for the hidden intentions that lay beneath his words. With a casual shrug, he claimed to be merely driven by curiosity. Undeterred, Shizuku's mind raced, painting elaborate scenarios in her imagination. She concluded that his desire for her presence stemmed from a hidden longing to share the experience with her as a date. The implications of her deduction sent a jolt through her being, leaving her heart pounding with a mix of trepidation and excitement. Amidst the vibrant tapestry of Shibuya's urban landscape, Shizuku stood out like a dazzling gemstone, her exquisite attire drawing admiring glances from passersby who whispered sweet nothings about her captivating beauty. Even as cameras captured the scene for posterity, her heart fluttered with anticipation as she eagerly awaited Akon's arrival. Oh, the perils of being unbearably beautiful. Imagine a world where every step you take, every glance you bestow, triggers a stampede of admirers. Like a magnet for attention, I find myself perpetually surrounded by a devoted entourage, their eyes trained on my every move. It's a burden, really. The constant adoration can be suffocating. One dares not sneeze without an audience to witness the spectacle. Fate, however, had a cruel twist in store for Shizuku. Akon's tardiness sent a wave of anguish coursing through her veins, unleashing a piercing scream that reverberated through the bustling streets. The men who had been admiring her from a distance witnessed her outburst with a mixture of amusement and sympathy, remarking on her undeniable charm and the apparent misfortune that had befallen her. They couldn't help but notice the utter lameness of Akon's t-shirt, marveling at how such an unremarkable specimen could have secured a date with a woman of such exquisite beauty. Beauty and the Beast is not just a fairy tale anymore. Even a guy who dances like a three-legged donkey can strut with a goddess if he has a sense of humor and a decent wallet. As the bystanders began to disperse, Akon finally emerged from the crowd, casting a puzzled glance at the dwindling numbers. Shizuku dismissed his concerns as mere imagination, once again brandishing her enigmatic coin and hypnotizing him into a state of blissful surrender. She reveled in the effortless control she held over him, finding amusement in the absurdity of his unwavering compliance. With an impish glint in her eye, Shizuku declared her desire for a seedy hotel over a sophisticated restaurant, much to Akon's dismay. Suggesting a seedy hotel for a first date is the dating equivalent of ordering a clown car to the prom. As he meekly acknowledged her request, she couldn't resist a playful jab at his lack of finesse. Their date, once envisioned as a romantic interlude, was now spiraling down a path of absurdity and unexpected adventures. On his first date, he faced his greatest challenge yet, pretending to be hypnotized. As the book signing loomed, he prepared meticulously. During their meal, he whispered, "Precious girl," instructing her to save the best dish for last, causing her to blush profusely. Despite the embarrassment gnawing at him, he persevered, knowing it was all part of his plan. He would keep feigning hypnosis until it was time to slip away before the signing. Their destination was an opulent restaurant, making Shizuku feel a tinge of discomfort. For him, a part-time employee, the expenses were manageable. As she savored her steak, she expressed her contentment with the evening. However, these feelings, like their date, were merely a fabrication. It was as Rinko had warned, none of this would have been possible without hypnosis. One could hardly blame him for resorting to such a ruse, and by extension, Shizuku for her inability to fully express her affection. In the realm of love, doubt and uncertainty often linger, and so her reticence seemed all too understandable. After appeasing Shizuku's concerns by assuring her he was merely her brother, they proceeded to enjoy their meal. As the afternoon progressed, Shizuku began to realize the time for the signing event was approaching. However, she cautiously suggested they could indulge in a romantic encounter at a love hotel instead. Fearing for his life, Hakon realized that the toilet presented an ideal opportunity for escape. With feigned anguish, he excused himself, claiming a dreadful stomach ache had struck him. Well, isn't it the most convenient ailment when you need a plausible excuse to dodge an unwanted obligation or two? After all, who can argue with that dull throbbing pain that magically disappears once you've escaped the dreaded task? Despite his remorse for deceiving Shizuku, he felt compelled to protect himself from her wrath. His plan seemed flawless as he managed to evade Shizuku's clutches. Now all that remained was to execute his secret maneuver and head to the book signing. However, his hopes were shattered when he turned to find Shizuku trailing behind him. She uttered that she merely felt uneasy about leaving him in his distress. Hakon desperately resorted to every excuse he could muster, explaining that performing such a private act in front of his sister was simply inappropriate. Observing the evacuation of someone's digestive system is akin to witnessing a biological stand-up comedy routine where the punchline is both audible and olfactory. He even resorted to the absurdity of warning her that humans were at their most defenseless while seated on the toilet, citing ludicrous incidents of bear attacks in such vulnerable moments. Despite his outlandish explanations, Shizuku remained steadfast in her determination to witness his urinary function. Fortuitously, the cunning ruse he devised to force her into a dilemma proved effective. He deftly presented the fan signing event as an unparalleled opportunity that she could not afford to miss, outweighing the prospect of witnessing his act of urination. Despite her eccentricities, she possessed enough discernment to grasp the significance of the occasion. Why choose a useless thing? You only get one shot at life, so you might as well go for the experience that will make you sound like a badass at the dinner table. Reluctantly, she acquiesced, departing with the solemn promise that he would grant her the coveted spectacle. In the grand scheme of things, this sacrifice was deemed necessary for the pursuit of a greater good. Time was of the essence as he found himself with only 30 minutes remaining before the fateful meeting with Yoshizawa-san. The realization that she had already adorned herself in feminine attire, complete with an uncharacteristically girlish voice, came as an unexpected revelation, adding a layer of intrigue to the unfolding drama. The weight of his tardiness had clearly ignited her ire, considering that this was his inaugural fan signing event. Undeterred, he was determined to salvage the situation within the rapidly dwindling time frame. What can I say? Time's a thief, stealing away before we can blink. Yet the clock demands our attention, a harsh mistress with an unrelenting deadline. Prepare to dance with the minutes, for this task cannot wait. The atmosphere crackled with disbelief as Yoshizawa-san stood frozen, her eyes wide with incredulity. Before her lay a shocking spectacle. The revered author, Ichino-sensei, whom she had always known as male, now standing draped in feminine attire. It was as if Akun, her mischievous classmate, was playing a cruel prank on her. Unable to contain her frustration, Yoshizawa-san's rage surged through her veins, propelling her to pin him against the unyielding wall. As he reluctantly donned the frilly dress, he couldn't resist a wry smile. After all, desperate times called for desperate cross-dressing, and he was flattered that his legs looked better in heels than he ever did in sneakers. Little did he know, the fashion statement would become an unexpected confidence booster, elevating him to the status of a reluctant style icon among the local drag queens. Even Ichino-sensei's ardent fans were left baffled, their belief system shattered as they struggled to reconcile the image of their beloved male author with this unexpected revelation. Ichino-sensei himself, with a calm and measured tone, broke the silence, explaining that cross-dressing was a personal hobby he indulged in. This admission only fueled the enigma that surrounded him. Why would he resort to such a disguise? His situation is like this. At the crosswalk, the gender-fluid pedestrian paused in a fabulous frock, prompting a bewildered driver to lean out their window and inquire, "You know what I mean, like the line, 'Excuse me, sir,' or 'ma'am,' or is it both?" The desperation in his voice suggested that his life hung in the balance, that he had no choice but to hide behind a veil of deception to protect himself from an unknown threat. Yoshizawa-san couldn't help but wonder what perilous situation Ichino-sensei had become entangled in. But he remained tight-lipped, unable to share his secrets with her. Frustration gnawed at her, yet she couldn't bring herself to release him from her iron grip. The sheer absurdity of her beloved author's cross-dressing had left her reeling. Back in the present, Yoshizawa-san's gaze locked with Ichino-sensei's, her anger spilling over in a torrent of words. How could she possibly remain composed when the object of her literary admiration had appeared before her, cloaked in a disguise that defied all expectations? Was she cognizant of the fact that her relentless daily exhortations to him to meet his demise had an unforeseen consequence, igniting within him an unquenchable amorous flame whilst he lay in slumber, ensnared by the power of hypnotism? She would undoubtedly exploit this knowledge to craft a narrative that would effectively silence him for the sake of his own mental well-being. However, after enduring an unrelenting barrage of threats, he finally succumbed and confided in her. Her reaction, far from being one of sympathy or understanding, was instead tinged with amusement, as she found his predicament highly entertaining. Amidst her incessant teasing, Yoshizawa-san leaned in towards our protagonist, prompting him to momentarily entertain the possibility that she intended to bestow upon him a kiss. In his naivete, unaware of her true intentions, he implored her to exercise caution, as it would be his first experience. To his astonishment, however, she abandoned her playful demeanor and delivered a forceful punch to his person. With disdain, she denounced their brief interaction as abhorrent, accusing Akun of harboring an impure mind for daring to entertain the notion that they were about to embrace in a kiss. Just because someone leans in doesn't mean they're going to kiss you, unless they're your dentist, in which case it's pretty much a given. But even then, don't get your hopes up too high. She dismissively informed him that her sole purpose was to apply makeup to his face, and that he should simply close his eyes and allow her to proceed. With her deft touch, she enhanced his makeup, rendering him somewhat more presentable. Yoshizawa-san then prepared to take her leave, as the fan signing event was imminent. However, prior to her departure, she was taken aback by the effeminate voice our protagonist was attempting to adopt. Recognizing that his customary masculine tone would betray his true identity, he had resolved to assume a more feminine intonation. This misguided attempt at deception earned him yet another blow from Yoshizawa-san, who deemed his behavior grossly inappropriate. Now then, as we celebrate the completion of our beloved Katemo, the enigmatic Ichino-sensei, or should we say Akun for this momentous occasion, will be gracing us with their presence for an autograph signing event. However, amidst the excitement, a palpable nervousness permeates the air. Trying to maintain composure is like balancing a bowling ball on a toothpick. One wrong move and everything goes sideways. Yet through it all, Yoshizawa-san remains a beacon of support. Her gentle whispers urge Akun to maintain composure and radiate smiles like 1,000 suns. She reminds them to convey sincere gratitude to their loyal fans and to adorn the final volume of Katemo with their autograph, signifying the culmination of years of heartfelt storytelling. While Akun is fully aware of the irregularity presented by their cross-dressing, they cannot help but remember the faces in the crowd, faces that have been the driving force behind their literary success. These are the individuals who have unwavering support for their works, and Akun holds them dear. As the first fan approaches, the tapestry of life weaves an uncanny coincidence. To Akun's astonishment, it is none other than Rinko, clutching her cherished volume, ready to witness the moment her treasured manga comes to life. If fate had a perverse sense of humor, it was his, as he found myself unexpectedly face to face with the human equivalent of a walking, talking calamity. His stomach sank as I realized that the universe had somehow conspired to drop me into the unlucky lottery of human interactions. Looks like he hit the rotten jackpot, folks. Rinko's eyes widen in disbelief as she beholds Ichino-sensei, a revelation that sends shockwaves through her being. This self-proclaimed otaku girl has devoted countless hours to the worlds of manga, anime, and light novels. However, her literary preferences have always gravitated towards the poignant realm of romantic comedies, where childhood bonds blossom into timeless love stories. A memory surfaces, a memory of a chance encounter long ago where Akun, cloaked in anonymity, recommended a book to Rinko. Little did she know that the author of that very book would one day stand before her, their true identity a testament to the interconnectedness of human experience. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Yoshizawa's son couldn't resist quizzing him. "Do you happen to be familiar with Ms. Rinko?" she queried, her eyes twinkling with anticipation. Both Rinko and the pseudonymous writer responded in unison, denying any prior acquaintance. Eager to extricate himself from the awkward situation, the writer promptly signed Rinko's book and made a hasty retreat. However, Rinko had not finished their conversation yet. Her voice paused him, her eyes searching for answers. The writer's mind raced, trying to make sense of her words. If she knew who he was, why would she bother asking? Her questions implied that she was uncertain of his true identity. Thanks to Yoshizawa's son's impeccable makeup skills, the writer had been transformed into a fair-haired, bespectacled young woman, far removed from his usual appearance. Rinko's next question caught him off guard. "Does Ichino-sensei have an adorable sister-in-law?" she asked, her voice innocent and playful. "I'm afraid not," he replied, his voice equally calm and nonchalant. Before Rinko could delve further, Yoshizawa's son, sensing the discomfort in the air, interjected. "Ms. Rinko," she said, her voice stern, "please be respectful of our guest writer's time." Rinko feigned innocence, apologizing for her enthusiasm. "You're right," she said, her eyes meeting Yoshizawa's son's briefly. "It's an honor to meet you, Ichino-sensei. I got carried away." The writer breathed a sigh of relief. Yoshizawa's son's intervention had saved him from potentially disastrous exposure. Yoshizawa's son's curiosity, however, got the better of her. She couldn't resist asking the writer how many people he knew at the fan meeting. Caught off guard, the writer hesitated for a moment before responding. "Rinko is an old childhood friend," he explained, his voice carefully measured. "She doesn't know about my writing career. I believe our encounter here is purely coincidental." Yoshizawa's son nodded in understanding, but the writer couldn't shake the feeling that she suspected more than she let on. Nonetheless, he left the fan meeting with his secret intact, his true identity safe for another day. As the relentless queue dwindled, a palpable anticipation hung in the air as the final signatory approached. Shizuku, the esteemed guest of the fan signing event, was both eagerly anticipated and doubted in equal measure by Yoshizawa's son. Had he truly encountered her in the past, as his fragmented memories suggested, or had his mind conjured a comforting illusion? Fate intervened, however, as Shizuku emerged from the shadows with an air of unwavering grace. Yoshizawa's son's heart skipped a beat as the realization dawned upon him that his story was no mere figment. She had come. Though Yoshizawa's son had believed that his encounter with Shizuku had slipped her mind, her senses proved to be far keener than he had imagined. Like a hound's unwavering loyalty, her memory clung tightly to the scent of his brother, a scent that she now detected in Ichino-sensei. In the intricate tapestry of siblinghood, sisters possess a unique connection to their brothers. Despite their contrasting perspectives and the veils they may conceal behind, sisters hold an uncanny ability to unravel the secrets that their brothers hold within. Like astute detectives, sisters observe the subtle nuances in their brothers' behavior, discerning the unspoken truths that lie beneath. They can decipher the cryptic messages hidden in sideways glances and curt responses, interpreting the language of solitude and the unspoken yearnings. Even when their brothers don intricate disguises or assume the guise of another, sisters possess the keen eye to pierce through the deception. Intuition, as sharp as a razor's edge, guides sisters in their quest for knowledge. They instinctively sense the inner turmoil that their brothers may try to suppress or mask with indifference. Through a shared history and the intimate knowledge that only comes from being raised together, sisters develop an understanding of their brothers' motivations, fears, and aspirations. Like master detectives, sisters piece together the fragments of information, uncovering the truth that their brothers may desperately try to conceal. With gentle persistence, they coax out confessions, unravel hidden pasts, and reveal the scars that their brothers bear upon their souls. In this pursuit of enlightenment, sisters do not seek to expose or embarrass their brothers. Instead, their unearthing of the truth is guided by a profound desire to offer support, healing, and the unwavering bond that only siblings can share. For sisters know that even when their brothers erect walls to keep them out, their hearts remain open to the love and understanding that only they can provide. Desperately attempting to devise a plausible excuse, Ichino-sensei frantically cobbled together an explanation. He suggested that the shared scent might be merely coincidental, perhaps arising from similar perfumes they had coincidentally applied. However, his companion swiftly dismissed this notion, asserting that he would never don such an elaborate fragrance. Ichino-sensei countered that perhaps his brother, who had recently embarked on a journey of self-improvement, had employed the perfume. Ah, sisters, the ones who know their brothers like the backs of their hands, or rather, like the smelly socks they refuse to wash. They witness every cringeworthy blunder, every awkward crush, and every disastrous haircut. So when it comes to roasting their brothers, they're like human flamethrowers with an inexhaustible supply of ammo. Prepare for the ultimate sibling roast fest. Shizuku, however, met this statement with a piercing question, inquiring what knowledge he possessed about his brother's habits. Just when Ichino-sensei believed his deception had been exposed, Shizuku reached an astounding conclusion. Ichinose-sensei and Akon were romantically involved. Ichinose was dumbfounded, unable to fathom such an outlandish accusation. Dating himself, it was madness. But perhaps this was his opportunity to seize the initiative and turn the tables. If he could deftly navigate this situation, he might escape unscathed. Plus, dating himself, that's a new level of narcissism. Just because he's wearing a wig and lipstick doesn't mean he's attracted to his own feminine side. He's not some gender-bending Kardashian, for crying out loud. However, Shizuku's demeanor swiftly shifted, and with it, her interrogation intensified. She bluntly presented Ichino-sensei with an ultimatum, inquiring whether he preferred to be stabbed or strangled. When in women, he thought, struggling to comprehend the depth of their volatility. It was evident that Shizuku was consumed by rage, and he knew he had to tread cautiously. Oh my, it seems that we've entered the realm of modern women, creatures capable of turning the Earth's axis with their wits. Their intellects are so formidable that they could make the pyramids of Giza cower in fear. It's as if they've traded their gentle smiles for steely glares that could petrify a basilisk. But hold on, I can hear the sound of 1,000 tiny keyboards clicking away, no doubt conjuring up some witty retort that will make my ears bleed. Women these days are terrifying. Yoshizawa's son deftly intervened, gently interjecting into the thickening conversation. With a remarkably composed demeanor, she clarified that Shizuku's hasty conclusions may be misguided. While it was undeniable that Ichino-sensei and Akon had indeed forged a strong bond, their connection remained purely platonic, devoid of any amorous intentions. The intricate web of misunderstandings unraveled as Yoshizawa's son revealed the true nature of Akon's involvement in Ichino-sensei's literary endeavors. Yoshizawa's son lied with the ease of a politician in an election year, his face as innocent as a cherub's, despite the fact that the stench of his deceit hung in the air like a cloud of unwashed socks. It was not a romantic entanglement that had prompted Akon to become Ichino-sensei's interview subject. Instead, it was the intriguing familial dynamic within Akon's household that had piqued the author's curiosity. Aware of Akon's stepsister, Shizuku, Ichino-sensei sought to delve into the nuances of this unconventional family structure for his writing. If she thinks Yoshizawa's son is telling the truth, she must have her believing in the existence of flying pigs and the possibility of turning straw into gold. Oh honey, her gullibility must be reaching stratospheric heights. The allure of the setting and characters proved irresistible, and so the decision was made to interview Akon, believing his first-hand experiences would provide invaluable insights. Yoshizawa's son's effortless deception was truly a spectacle to behold. Her countenance remained unwavering, devoid of even the slightest hint of unease, as she skillfully spun a tale that patiently untangled the tangled threads of suspicion. Shizuku, her mind awash in a whirlwind of confusion, tentatively inquired whether the tales penned by Ichino-sensei drew inspiration from her own life and her brother's. The answer to her growing disbelief was an emphatic affirmation. Yoshizawa's son's lies flowed so effortlessly that I couldn't help but applaud her impressive audacity. Her ability to maintain eye contact while spinning tales capable of dethroning a king left me in awe of the sheer brilliance of her deceptions. Even the most seasoned poker player would be envious of Yoshizawa's son's poker face as she held her fabricated stories with unwavering confidence. Just how did she manage to do such things? A vivid scene sprang to mind, painted with the vibrant hues of absurdity. In the depths of the story, the elder brother, consumed by an inexplicable desire, had immersed his unsuspecting stepsister's vibrant green panties in cold water before proceeding to imbibe its contents in one thirsty gulp, mistaking it for the refreshing brew of green tea. Who in their right mind would drink water from someone's soaked panties? That's not only disgusting, it's downright absurd. The horror. This bizarre act, Yoshizawa's son astutely explained, was a literary depiction born from Ichino-sensei's attentive assimilation of Akon's vivid expressions. To Shizuku's escalating bewilderment, the revelations continued to flow unabated. The passage on page 120, which recounted the older brother stealthily entering his stepsister's futon and inhaling the sweet fragrance of her hair, was not a product of Ishino-sensei's imagination. It was a brazenly unvarnished account of Akon's own adventurous escapade. Of course, you know she was lying. Who'd believe that tired old excuse about falling in love with her own brother just to fool Shizuku? It's like claiming that green cheese walks upright at night to hide in people's refrigerators. But as impossible as it looks, she believes and fantasizes about how her brother lusts over her. That's creepy. Amidst the bustling crowd, Shizuki exuded an aura of unbridled joy, her laughter echoing through the air. In stark contrast, her older brother, Akon, felt the gnawing sense of unease that permeated his entire being. Remember, folks, it's always best to face the truth, even if it's as hairy and smelly as a yak. Otherwise, you might just end up with a tail you can't wag and Pinocchio nose longer than your reputation. The moral lesson of the story is not to let anyone lie in your place. Just lie to yourself. Yoshizawa's son cleared that Ichino-sensei and Akon's paths had crossed just moments ago, and Ichino-sensei couldn't shake the lingering scent that clung to his brother. Yoshizawa's son, who's super nosy, quickly offered an explanation, claiming that Ichino-sensei and her brother had had a brief encounter. However, she knew better. He was acutely aware of his own inappropriate feelings towards his stepsister, and he dreaded the thought of anyone discovering his forbidden desires. At that moment, Yoshizawa's son's barrage of lies and fabrications seemed like the deadliest poison, threatening to expose Akon's carefully concealed secret. As Shizuku finished her errand, a cold determination hardened her gaze. She had witnessed her brother's discomfort and concluded that he needed to be punished for his transgression. Attempting to punish your older sibling is akin to trying to contain a greased pig in a hurricane. It's a futile endeavor, leaving you exhausted and the pig thoroughly amused. Like a seasoned bullfighter facing a sneaky bull, you can only hope to outwit them and avoid being gored while they dance circles around you, leaving you with nothing but bruised pride. However, in their case, it's the other way. The weight of his reluctance pressed heavily upon Akon's shoulders as he stood rooted in front of his house, his resolve faltering. The recent double-booking debacle surrounding the autograph session had left an indelible mark on his bond with Shizuku, casting a long shadow over their sibling relationship. The once innocent banter between step-siblings had morphed into a twisted perception in Shizuku's eyes. Well, I guess he should have known better than to let his friend cover for him and spew nonsense. Now he's being accused of sexual harassment because some weirdo thought he was hitting on her. Talk about a case of mistaken identity gone wrong. I mean, seriously, who in their right mind would believe that he, the epitome of decency and charm, would stoop so low? It's like they say, sometimes the best intentions can lead to the most hilarious misinterpretations. Akon found himself branded as a perpetual criminal-level sexual harasser, an accusation that stung his conscience with unbearable guilt. The thought of facing her now filled him with a dread that made his limbs heavy and his heart race with trepidation. Despite his reluctance, he knew he couldn't ignore his mother's message. With a heavy sigh, he summoned a semblance of courage and approached the threshold of his home. His feet moved mechanically, each step carrying the weight of his fears and uncertainties. He'd had no choice but to return, to deal with the consequences of his actions and the shattered trust he had caused. As he approached the door, he reached out and gently pushed it open. A wave of apology immediately washed over him as he stepped inside, realizing that he was significantly behind schedule. The atmosphere was palpable, hinting at the lateness of his arrival, yet curiously, Shizuku presented herself with an inexplicable normalcy. This placid demeanor, however, was but a fleeting facade, for without warning, she abruptly revealed her coin. And here we go again with another episode of fake hypnotizing and our MC's ridiculous act. Initially, a surge of apprehension coursed through his veins, eliciting the fear that she intended to once again ensnare him in her hypnotic spell. But to his astonishment, this time, her purpose was quite the opposite. She intended to break the spell, to erase the memory of this enigmatic encounter. The request she made was that he simply forget the events of that day and meet her at their designated eatery outside the station. Her brother may have been made of wood, but even Pinocchio would have seen through her puppet show of manipulation. Her plan to tug on his strings backfired, leaving her tangled in a web of regret. Now she's the one feeling like a marionette, dancing to the tune of her own remorse. It seems the tables have turned, and her puppet strings are now strings of accountability. In the grand scheme of things, he acknowledged the validity of her proposition. In reality, the role he had inadvertently assumed was that of a lecherous harasser, a perverted brother figure who had committed a grave sexual offense against her. The prospect of her burning hatred filled him with dread, compelling him to accept her offer and willingly consign all recollections of this incident to oblivion. However, it looks like she doesn't want him to forget all the bad encounters when she stripped down where her underwear is showing. He asked why she was not wearing anything down there. She explained it's a trend among high school girls today. Fashion is a fickle mistress, and girls have a reputation for being her most devoted disciples. But why do girls have such weird fetishes when it comes to fashion? Is it because they're secretly aliens from a planet where clothing is made of mucus and glitter? Or is it because they're just inherently more creative and expressive than boys? Whatever the reason, one thing is for sure. Girls' fashion is a never-ending source of amusement. Just when you think you've seen it all, they come up with something new to make you scratch your head and wonder what the heck they're thinking. Due to the double booking of the signing book, Shizuku is under the mistaken impression that he is looking at her sexually before he is hypnotized. Taking off the hypnosis, the heinous act of exposing her underwear. There's no doubt that Shizuku is trying to make him fall in love with her, who is not hypnotized right now. In a flurry of confusion, she snatched up a packet of condensed milk, its contents spilling haphazardly upon her. With an air of feigned innocence, she claimed to have done it by accident and demanded that he wipe it off for her, her discomfort evident as the liquid clung uncomfortably to her skin. He, however, suggested that she tended to the mess herself, but this only ignited a firestorm of accusations. She hurled insults his way, labeling him a pervert while paradoxically embodying the very essence of perversion itself. Excuse me, pervert? The gall of her to use such a term when her own eccentricities would make a tabloid blush. Shall we compare notes, my dear? Unconfident Akon's perversities would pale in comparison to the skeletons in Shizuku's closet. Summoning all his self-control, he convinced himself that helping his sister in distress was merely an act of kindness, the duty of an elder brother to Shizuku. And so he reached for the towel, intending to remedy the situation. However, his good intentions were met with resistance as she tightened her grip around his neck with alarming force. To her, his mere presence was a transgression, his actions misconstrued as lecherous advances. Being misunderstood is like trying to do a jigsaw puzzle with pieces from 3 different boxes. It's frustrating, confusing, and you just want to give up and eat the Cheez-Its. Or it can also be like dancing at a wedding with a sprained ankle, painful, awkward, and your partner keeps stepping on your toes or your feelings. It's worse than discovering that your favorite store-brand cookies have been discontinued. Heartbreaking and a betrayal of trust. Or even like when you try to explain to your cat why you can't open the window for him. Futile, mind-boggling, and you end up feeling slightly insane. Despite the turmoil, he found an unexpected sense of amusement in the chaos. It presented an opportunity to engage with Suzuku, with whom communication had always been challenging. In the final panel, Rinko, already aware of Ichino Sensei's true identity, embarked on a covert investigation. It became apparent that she had uncovered the connection between Akon and Ichino Sensei, a revelation that seemed both predictable and unsettling. In the realm of human existence, the interplay between darkness and light holds profound significance. As darkness descends upon us, so too do the shadows of our actions, thoughts, and intentions. Yet know this, there is no lie, no secret that can forever remain concealed beneath the veil of obscurity. For even if deception should attempt to shroud itself in darkness, time invariably unravels its intricate web. Truth, like an unwavering beacon, pierces through the murk, illuminating the hidden corners of our hearts and minds. No matter how deeply buried a lie may be, its seeds of consequence will eventually germinate. The consequences of our actions, both good and ill, are an indissoluble part of the tapestry of life. They are the echoes of our choices, reverberating through the corridors of time. While some consequences may manifest immediately, others may lie dormant, awaiting their appointed hour to unfold. But be it known that the cosmic scales of justice are perpetually in motion, ensuring that every deed, every thought, finds its fitting recompense. Just as darkness cannot eternally eclipse the brilliance of light, so too can the weight of concealed truths never truly be extinguished. Remember, my friend, the path of honesty and integrity, though it may not always be the easiest, is the only one that leads to true liberation. Let your actions be guided by the light of truth, and know that in so doing, you sow seeds that will bear bountiful fruit in the garden of your soul. As the vibrant tapestry of spring faded away, giving way to the gentle embrace of late May, time seemed to have accelerated, leaving a whirlwind of events in its wake. The passage of a mere month had brought about a cascade of significant occurrences that had irrevocably altered the trajectory of Shizuku's life. Recalling the surreal events of April, Shizuku couldn't shake the unsettling memory of his brother's enigmatic attempt to hypnotize him while he lay slumbering. The experience had left an eerie residue, blurring the boundaries between reality and the uncanny. As if this were not enough, the adoration for his light novel from his own sister came as an unexpected and overwhelming surprise. It's a proud moment for any writer when their words are appreciated, even, or especially, when the admiring reader is a sibling who keeps your socks hostage in the laundry room. May their love for your novels keep them from constantly borrowing your favorite hoodie. Caught between amusement and a tinge of embarrassment, Shizuku found himself navigating the uncharted waters of familial enthusiasm. Moreover, a moment of unfortunate scheduling resulted in a disastrous double booking. Forced to choose between an eagerly anticipated autograph session and a cherished date, Shizuku's heart sank as he contemplated the consequences of his mistake. Each option held its own allure, and the weight of his decision pressed heavily upon him. Yet, amidst this flurry of personal dramas, a profound shift was taking place in Shizuku's relationship with the enigmatic Shizuku. Imperceptibly, at first, the bonds between them had strengthened and deepened, reaching a new phase that hinted at unspoken possibilities. The future stretched out before them, an enigmatic canvas upon which the tapestry of their lives would continue to be woven. Amidst the lingering aftermath of the eventful book signing, an unexpected proposition emerged from Shizuku's lips. "Actually, if you like, we could hold hands," she uttered, her voice tinged with a newfound daring. Ever since the hypnotic encounter, her older brother, who had always held a protective and affectionate regard for her, had become even more demonstrative. Well, here we are, at the most romantic part of the story, where all the sparks fly and the hearts flutter. Or, at least, that's what the movies would have us believe. In reality, I'm over here wondering if my characters are going to trip over their own feet or accidentally say something incredibly awkward. Hold on to your hats, folks, it's about to get messy. Mistaking this for an unspoken invitation, Shizuku found herself boldly assuming the role of brazen stepsister, enticing her brother in broad daylight. Whether they were secluded in the privacy of the lavatory or immersing themselves in the warmth of the bath, the temptation refused to subside. Yet, while the embarrassment of the hypnosis charade had been averted, an equally mortifying predicament had taken its place. As the group of friends embarked on their leisurely walk to school, their spirits were momentarily lifted by the cheerful greeting of Rinko, who flashed a radiant smile as she approached them. Akan, ever the courteous soul, exchanged warm greetings with her, while Shizuki struggled to conceal her evident distaste. Noticing the tension brewing between Shizuki and Rinko, Akan interjected, his tone a gentle reminder to Shizuki to maintain an air of politeness. Their strained relationship had been a lingering consequence of their encounter at the quaint cafe a while back. Shizuki, her sarcasm thinly veiled, offered a half-hearted apology, claiming that she had overlooked Rinko's presence due to her airy demeanor. Her audaciousness did not end there as she seized her brother's hand, intertwining their fingers. With a mischievous smirk, she declared that they would continue their journey to school in this peculiar manner. In an unfiltered and blunt manner, Rinko made her intentions known, declaring that her presence was imminent and that she had an urgent need to depart. Her brother, Shizuku, was taken aback by her coarse language and advised her to exercise discretion, reminding her of her status as a lady. Rinko retorted with a venomous sneer, calling Shizuku a stupid face and dismissing her attempts to reason as foolish banter. "Oh, these young ladies, still being silly. I suppose that's what they call girlhood. Maybe they'll grow out of it, or maybe their childish antics will keep them forever young at heart." She proceeded to brush off his concerns with a dismissive wave, declaring that she would handle the matter at hand and that Shizuku should refrain from interfering due to her limited cognitive abilities. To Shizuku's utter dismay, Rinko exhibited a profound lack of respect, abruptly ending their conversation by abruptly dragging her brother out of her sight without a semblance of an apology. Her vulgar and profane language left a bitter taste in his mouth, emphasizing the stark contrast between their differing levels of decorum. As Shizuku ventured into the realm of forgotten memories, she cautiously approached her brother, her heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. With bated breath, she inquired about any recollections he might harbor regarding the enigmatic practice of hypnotism. To her dismay, he met her gaze with a flicker of unease before fabricating an elaborate tale of forgotten matters. Intrigued and perplexed, Shizuku pressed further, only to be met with the same unwavering denial. It became evident that her brother was bound by an invisible thread. his tongue forever tied to a lie about hypnosis. Shizuku's resolve strengthened, and she sought to delve deeper into the enigma that enveloped her family. As she immersed herself in her relentless pursuit, fate intervened in an unexpected and tantalizing way. Suddenly, Aken's strong arms enveloped her in an embrace, his reassuring words echoing in her ears like a soothing melody. Well, 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 look who's back on speaking terms. After the age-old silence between them, their reconciliation is about as rare as finding a needle in a haystack. Or maybe it's just me who's been sitting here with a bucket of popcorn the whole time, waiting for this happily ever after. His heartfelt declaration of unwavering support melted away the barriers she had painstakingly constructed, leaving her in a state of bewildered vulnerability. In the embrace of their budding connection, they were unaware of the piercing gaze of Hayami-kun, the track and field star who stood apart from his peers with an unparalleled drive and exceptional academic prowess. His eyes, sharp as an eagle's, had observed their intimate moment, casting an enigmatic shadow over the unfolding events. Caught off guard by Shizuku's unexpected outing with an unimpressive individual, Hayami-kun pressed her for an explanation, unable to reconcile his image of her with such a mundane choice. Driven by his admiration for Shizuku, Hayami-kun's presence hinted at a potential rivalry between him and the mysterious man. His familiarity with Shizuku suggested a close acquaintance, further fueling the intrigue. Concerned about the potential fallout, Hayami-kun realized that any suggestion of intimacy between them as step-siblings would create a major scandal. Desperate to maintain appearances, he attempted to conceal his feelings, feigning indifference. However, his feeble attempt at dismissiveness only served to enrage Shizuku, who vehemently denounced him as insensitive and gave him a mere 3 seconds to vacate her presence. Hayami-kun's bewilderment grew as he recalled her countless rejections, totaling 43, yet he remained persistent in his pursuit. Oh my god, that's a lot. Doesn't he feel embarrassed to be rejected? How many times again? 43 it is. Girl, this is emotional suicide. He audaciously suggested that Shizuku should reconsider choosing him, citing his superior academic performance, physical fitness, and aesthetic appeal compared to the ugly and dull man she had chosen. In the depths of Hayami-kun's perception, Hayami-kun ceased his cognitive growth at the tender age of elementary school. This narrow-minded perspective presumes that human worthiness is solely predicated on societal standing and innate abilities, a notion that even a junior high school student could comprehend. Furthermore, it is unfathomable that Hayami-kun could grasp the true extent of his brother's capabilities with the meager contact they have shared. Such superficial expectations are nothing more than empty platitudes. If Hayami-kun aspires to wallow in self-pity and belittle others based on their superficial appearances, his stepsister suggests that he remain confined within the insular confines of his tiny classroom for the rest of his existence. As befitting a pile bunker-type stepsister, her piercing words possess an extraordinary penetrating power. Moreover, she firmly believes that her brother's abilities far surpass Hayami-kun's. When he sets his mind to it, Akari can effortlessly secure victory in the relay race at the sports festival and excel academically, eclipsing the top of the class. Akari's unassuming nature often conceals his prodigious talents, but when he truly applies himself, his unpredictability becomes all the more formidable. Infused with unwavering passion, Hayami-kun challenges Aken to a fateful relay race, wagering that the victor shall win the affections of Shizuku. Driven by the force of Hayami-kun's provocation, Akari accepts the challenge, vowing to give it his all. Amidst the relentless pursuit of athletic excellence, our determined protagonist, having endured 7 grueling tests, now faced the daunting prospect of a merciless 8th trial. The formidable challenge had pushed him to the brink, casting doubts over his unwavering resolve to continue. Fate intervened as Shizuku, the enigmatic and resilient track star, emerged from the shadows, having also completed the selective relay and a grueling grade test. The sight of her indomitable spirit rekindled a flicker of determination within our protagonist's weary heart. As if summoned by the universe, Rinko, who's someone with a kindred spirit who shared her athletic aspirations, greeted him with a cheerful smile. However, a wave of nausea threatened to consume our protagonist, forcing him to suppress his discomfort to avoid raising suspicion. Who knew that the relentless pursuit of cardio could transform into a symphony of gastric distress? I guess I'll have to add puking fountain to the list of benefits that come with my morning jogs. The relentless vomiting that ensued could no longer be concealed, and Rink's curiosity compelled her to inquire about his peculiar behavior. Desperate to avoid revealing his true struggles, he concocted a whimsical explanation, claiming that long legs were the epitome of masculine appeal among his male peers and that he had been striving to enhance his speed to emulate this coveted attribute. She then extended her best wishes for Hayami-kun's success in securing first place in the upcoming relay and grade tests of the much-anticipated sports festival. This knowledge stemmed from the pervasive rumors circulating throughout the student body. Whispers hinted at a burgeoning romance between Hayami-kun, the track team's star performer, and a renowned beauty from his grade. Sometimes rumors get told in a silly way. It's like the time my great-aunt was mistaken for a famous actress, and people started calling her Ms. Hollywood. Little did they know, her only acting experience was as the church mouse in the Christmas pageant. The rumors themselves originated from Hayami-kun, who had deftly disseminated them. While he had taken certain liberties with the facts to exaggerate and embellish the tale, his carefully crafted account spared him from the immediate threat of his hypnosis being exposed. With few other options available, he embraced the mounting wave of speculation. Despite his initial hesitation, Hayami-kun succumbed to the pressure and mendaciously claimed that the rumors held a kernel of truth and that he could never bear to see Shizuku, his own sister, fall into the arms of a suitor. This tangled web of half-truths and outright fabrications further ensnared him in a precarious situation. In the tapestry of Rinko's scholastic journey, Hayami-kun emerged as a captivating star. His lightning-fast reflexes and striking countenance had an immediate and profound effect on her. It's like being trapped in a romantic Bermuda Triangle. Your feelings for your boy best friend are lost in a sea of mixed signals. Your girl best friend is the jealous siren, and that girl he's just started dating is the shark ready to tear your hopes to shreds. Girl best friends know the best, though. As she traversed the hallowed halls of their school, Rinko found herself irresistibly drawn to Hayami-kun's alluring aura. His effortless cool exuded an enigmatic charm that ignited a spark within her. Unbeknownst to Rinko, her quiet demeanor and reserved nature hinted at a secret yearning for a connection. Within the depths of her introverted heart, she harbored a profound admiration for Hayami-kun, a sentiment she had been hesitant to acknowledge even to herself. Fate, however, had a serendipitous twist in store for Rinko. To her astonishment, Hayami-kun had approached her with an unexpected confession. Hayami-kun's charm has the unique ability to make even the most devoted nuns reconsider the sanctity of their vows. His bedroom experiences would make Casanova blush with envy, leaving a trail of broken hearts and breathless whispers in his wake. But hey, who needs chastity when you can have Hayami-kun? To put it shortly, he's a modern playboy. While Rinko's initial reaction was one of surprise, a glimmer of realization dawned upon her. Despite her unremarkable appearance, Hayami-kun had somehow discerned the hidden depths of her character. In a cruel twist of events, Hayami-kun's perception of Rinko was tainted by a misunderstanding. He mistakenly believed her to be the type of girl who would be easily swayed by his charm, a notion that stemmed from her ample bosom. However, this misinterpretation proved to be a fleeting cloud on the horizon of their budding relationship, for Rinko possessed a quiet strength and determination that would prove to be far more enticing than mere physical attributes. As their conversation meandered, an unexpected shift occurred, when she abruptly broached the topic of love. On a side note, teasing Rinko has become our favorite pastime, a true testament to how we folks torture our favorite character. And it's all fun and games until she realizes this terrible, horrible truth. She's in love, duh. A surge of curiosity coursed through her companion's mind as he pondered if she harbored feelings for Hayami-kun. It dawned on him that this could be the pattern that Shizuku and Rinko had alluded to earlier. Our oblivious protagonist, unaware of the romantic undercurrents, enthusiastically offered his support with a thumbs-up gesture. However, an abrupt outburst from Rinko left him perplexed. With tears streaming down her face, she claimed that dust had irritated her eyes. Subtly hinting at her discomfort, she expressed a desire to rest at Akun's house. Comprehending her situation, Akun, without hesitation, hoisted her onto his back. Oh boy, it looks like someone's got a secret admirer. It's like a romcom come to life, except with a twist. The best friend is the one holding the boombox, cheering you on with an invisible megaphone, rooting for you to fall head over heels for the other guy. Can I get a popcorn and front row seat for this love triangle extravaganza? Despite the relentless downpour, he steadfastly carried her towards his abode. With unwavering determination, he braved the storm and finally delivered her safely to the doorstep of his home. As the morning dawned, Shizuku was already out the door, having left early for her day duty. She had been exhausted lately, and she desperately needed some rest. Concerned about her well-being, he decided to step outside their room and get her some warm tea. A Upon his return, chaos erupted. Rinko lunged at him, pinning him to the ground. She had shed her clothes, revealing her flimsy underwear. Her voice was a sultry demand, her words unmistakable. She unhooked her bra, partially exposing her ample breasts. Due to her heavy menstrual periods, she had been taking birth control, eliminating the need for condoms during their intimate moments. Oh la la, looks like our characters are reaching that steamy do they or don't they moment. Grab a popcorn, folks, because the bedroom door is about to creak open. And if you're wondering what kind of acrobatics they're getting up to in there, well, don't blame me if you end up with a sore imagination. As they were about to share a tender and passionate kiss, Haru's mind was suddenly consumed by an overwhelming image of his beloved sister, Shizuku. In that fleeting moment, he couldn't help but acknowledge the deep and abiding bond they shared. He realized that Shizuku held a special place in his heart, and he couldn't bear the thought of hurting her in any way. Upon hearing Aken's confession, Rinko's demeanor underwent a dramatic transformation. Rage and hurt surged through her veins as she unleashed a furious barrage of punches upon his face. Each blow carried the weight of her disappointment and betrayal. In a moment of desperation, as the pain intensified, Rinko seized Haru's face in her hands and planted a forceful kiss upon his bloodied lips. "Oh my stars, my innocent eyes, they have just been subjected to a sight that would make a sailor blush. Where is the nearest holy water, for I must cleanse my vision of this unforgivable spectacle. And while we're at it, can someone please bring me a blindfold as well? 'Cause I can see her future, really." With tears streaming down her cheeks, Rinko accused Haru of being selfish and heartless. She blamed him for the bruising he had sustained, arguing that it was his own fault for choosing that filthy liar Shizuku over her. She insisted that he had made his choice, and the consequences were now his to bear. At the heart of true love lies an inherent vulnerability that can pierce the soul. When our affections are unrequited, when the person we cherish yearns for another, pain becomes an unwanted companion. It is a cruel reality that love can hurt, a throbbing wound that festers in the depths of our being. Yet, amidst the agony, there resides a somber truth. Pain is an integral part of the tapestry of love, an unavoidable consequence of opening our hearts fully. For love, in its purest form, is not selfish or conditional. It is a selfless giving of ourselves, a surrender to the unknown. Perfect love, like a mythical unicorn, is an elusive dream. All love is imperfect, flawed by the complexities of human nature. It is in these imperfections that we discover the depth of our own resilience, the capacity to withstand the inevitable heartache that accompanies true affection. To love is to risk being hurt. To open our hearts is to invite pain. But it is also to experience the exquisite joy of connection, the profound fulfillment that comes from sharing our lives with one another. The pain of unrequited love is a testament to the power of our emotions, a reminder that we are capable of feeling deeply and loving fiercely. So let us not shy away from the potential pain of love. Let us embrace it as a reminder of the beauty and vulnerability of the human experience. For in the tapestry of love, pain and joy are inextricably intertwined, each thread adding richness and depth to the overall masterpiece. As Rinko emerged from her secluded study, she beckoned to our protagonist, her voice a soft whisper that carried a hint of urgency. With trembling hands, she revealed an object that had eluded her for an eternity. A worn and leather-bound tome, its pages filled with the enigmatic secrets of hypnosis. A surge of familiarity washed over the protagonist as their gaze fell upon the volume. They had glimpsed its existence before, hidden away in the shadows of Rinko's sanctum. Its rediscovery filled them with a sense of both trepidation and anticipation. You thought you had the darkest secret all wrapped up, didn't you? Like a little purring kitten in a basket. But then suddenly, your secret burst out like a rabid rhinoceros, trampling your facade to smithereens while leaving you to sweep up the mess. Just how bad could it be? "I have yearned for this book for ages," Rinko murmured, her voice laced with a mix of triumph and longing. "And now, finally, it has found its way into my grasp." As she delved into the labyrinthine texts, Rinko's mind raced with an intricate plan. She had identified 9 potential methods to manipulate Akun, the enigmatic young man who had stolen her heart. Of these, 3 stood out as particularly viable. The first method, she explained, would require Shizuku to be completely open and honest with him. In a realm where authenticity languishes, why don't we embark on a candid expedition, shedding the masks of pretense? Honesty may unveil unanticipated caverns within, but surely they hold more allure than the tedium of a meticulously curated facade. After all, in the tapestry of life, unvarnished emotions weave vibrant threads that render the mundane extraordinary. So let us indulge in a moment of courageous candor, where the echoes of our hearts reverberate with unfiltered truth. Shizuku would have to profess her love for Akun and allow him to dominate her, becoming his willing plaything. Through this act of submission, Akun would fall under Shizuku's spell, ready to fulfill her every desire. The second method involved seizing upon Akun's vulnerability. Perhaps he could be held hostage or blackmailed, forcing him to do Rinko's bidding against his will. Fear and desperation would become his companions, compelling him to obey her commands without question. In this modern age, where digital shadows linger and secrets are relentlessly exposed, the antiquated art of blackmail seems quaint and utterly passé. The allure of holding someone's past indiscretions over their head is as archaic as powdered wigs and inkwells. Social media trials and leaked emails have made privacy an obsolete concept, rendering blackmail as outdated as a rotary phone in the smartphone era. The very notion of blackmail has evolved into a relic, a faded memento of a bygone era, as we navigate the treacherous waters of transparency and reputation management in the digital age. Even the most seasoned of blackmailers would find themselves outmatched and obsolete, their tactics deemed relics of a forgotten time. However, the third method differed markedly from the others. It delved into the realm of the truly mystical, employing techniques that directly altered the mind. Rinko had discovered a way to penetrate Akun's subconscious, implanting suggestions and manipulating his thoughts without his conscious awareness. Upon analyzing the relationship between Shizuku and Akun, it becomes evident that neither the first nor second approach is accurate. It would be highly improbable for Shizuku, a character known for her intricate and guarded nature, to abruptly shed her inhibitions and embrace transparency. Despite the notion that Shizuku harbors feelings for Akun, it is unreasonable to assume that an individual as profoundly self-conscious and reserved as her would exhibit such boldness in Akun's presence. At most, she may utilize his unwavering loyalty to fulfill her needs, while subtly attempting to foster a closer connection. Watching her prance around with her nose in the air like the queen bee of the school, I couldn't help but chuckle at her tsundere antics. Despite her icy exterior, I knew the firecracker hidden beneath her frosty facade, like a mischievous kitten playing with a ball of yarn. Her sharp tongue and the way she pretended to be aloof were like a comedy routine in slow motion. It was impossible not to find her charmingly exasperating, like a pint-sized tornado with a heart of gold wrapped in prickly armor. Moreover, even if Shizuku were to hold a fondness for Akun, it is highly unlikely that she would issue him overly assertive commands. His inherent vulnerabilities have been persistently exposed and well known throughout their acquaintance. Shizuku's understanding of these weaknesses would prevent her from making unreasonable demands or leveraging his affections to her advantage. Amidst the escalating tensions surrounding hostage negotiations, Shizuku's pivotal role emerged as a crucial breakthrough. Her captor's unwavering demand for Shizuku or anything associated with her stemmed from a sinister secret concealed within her family's abode, the clandestine hiding place of his illicit pornographic collection. For years, Shizuku's heart had harbored an unrequited affection for Akun, a cherished presence in her life. Oh, woe is the tale of the star-crossed siblings, their hearts ablaze with forbidden passion. Imagine the awkward family dinners, the scandalous whispers behind closed doors, and the irresistible urge to make out in the linen closet. It's like a soap opera, but with genetics gone wrong. However, despite the passage of time and her ample opportunities, she had remained steadfast in her vow of silence, never daring to utter the true extent of her emotions. Yet, a remarkable shift transpired in April when Shizuku's demeanor underwent an abrupt transformation. Well, people who want change can't drive a Prius in the morning and transform it into a Ford F-150 by lunchtime. Change takes time. Rinko, her close confidant, witnessed with astonishment an incident at a local coffee shop that would have been utterly unthinkable mere months prior. Shizuku's actions, marked by a blatant disregard for social norms and a perplexing blend of contradictions, became a glaring indication of her reckless behavior. As the situation spiraled further out of control, Rinko found herself perplexed and deeply concerned. I guess this is the part where I pull out my chair, grab some popcorn, and get ready to watch the age-old battle of will they or won't they unfold again. As if my book didn't have enough drama already, here we go with the obligatory girl best friend problems that seem to plague every single romance novel. It's like give us something new for once. Shizuku's actions seemed to defy all reason, casting a shadow over her otherwise gentle and considerate nature. The uncharacteristic boldness she displayed posed a significant threat, not only to herself but to the outcome of the delicate hostage situation that hung in the balance. For years, Rinko had repeatedly confided in our protagonist that Shizuku would perpetually struggle to articulate her true sentiments to Akun. He could count on it? Their dwelling under the same roof for an extended period had done little to foster progress. Instead, their ceaseless quarrels seemed to exacerbate the rift between them, becoming an almost insurmountable barrier to any meaningful emotional connection. Yet a perplexing anomaly arose when Shizuku was observed kissing Akun. This inexplicable occurrence presented two plausible explanations. Either Akun's sanity had deteriorated, or Shizuku had somehow gained his favor. If Akun were indeed mentally unwell, she could engage in her peculiar conduct without any inhibition, confident that Shizuku possessed the ability to erase his recollection of her unconventional behavior. However, if Shizuku had somehow manipulated Akun, she would have had ample opportunity to act without fear of reprisal, knowing that she could rely on him to forget her audacious actions. In fact, Rinko firmly believes that Shizuku would not engage in this unusual behavior otherwise. Beliefs can be like a sturdy bridge, helping you navigate the choppy waters of uncertainty. Or they can be like a bulldozer, plowing through all opposing viewpoints with the same unwavering determination as a caffeine-fueled toddler. Either way, one thing is for sure: when your beliefs are as solid as a concrete fortress, you'll never have to worry about cowering in the face of self-doubt. So there you have it, folks. Being as stubborn as a donkey with a bone in its teeth means you're confident. Who needs open-mindedness when you can have unshakable convictions, right? Having meticulously observed the protagonist's interactions at school for the past month, Rinko possesses a keen understanding of his behavior and has discerned that Akun's demeanor falls into one of two distinct states. The first state manifests when situations unfold unremarkably, with Akun behaving in a generally consistent manner. The second state, however, becomes evident when he unquestioningly complies with Shizuku's directives, regardless of the context. This pattern remains constant throughout their interactions. Yet Rinko has noticed a profound shift in Akun's attitude whenever he and Shizuku find themselves alone. In the presence of a nemesis, one's poker face transforms into a ripe banana, while around a crush, it blossoms into a bouquet of sunflowers. It is as if a veil of familiarity falls away, replaced by a palpable sense of intimacy. This observation has led Rinko to posit a third possibility, a tantalizing hypothesis that suggests Shizuku possesses an exceptional ability to directly influence the psyche. Rinko believes that Shizuku wields this ability against the protagonist, subtly manipulating his thoughts and emotions to achieve her own ends. Amidst the ethereal glow of the cafe, where the air hummed with the bittersweet aroma of roasted beans, Shizuku believed her enchantment held sway over Akun. Yet beneath this veil of enchantment, a subtle dance was unfolding. Despite the magical hold she exerted, a covert interplay unfolded between Akun and Rinko revealed the intricate web of their unspoken connection. It was oblivious to Shizuku. Akun had stumbled upon a note, its words subtly hinting at Rinko's presence. At that moment, a realization dawned upon him. The enigmatic force manipulating his actions was not solely due to Shizuku's enchantment. Instead, it was his own volition, driven by a desire to preserve their fragile bond. Even Albert Einstein would struggle to fathom how Rinko— P.S. I'm not disrespecting Einstein, I worship him. With her supernatural intelligence, she manages to crack the cryptic enigma surrounding Akun and Shizuku's secret rendezvous. It's as if she possesses a secret decoder ring to unravel the love triangle's tangled web, leaving the rest of us mere mortals scratching our heads in disbelief. Her mind, akin to a Swiss watch, dissects every clue with precision, leaving no stone unturned in her relentless pursuit of the truth. Truly, Rinko is a force to be reckoned with, making Sherlock Holmes look like a novice when it comes to solving the mysteries that plague the hearts of young lovers. Oh, maybe I am too overreacting. Of course it's me. As days turned into nights, Akun's behavior shifted. While Shizuku witnessed tender gestures and expressions of affection, she failed to perceive the underlying currents. Akun's seemingly spontaneous initiatives were nothing more than calculated responses designed to navigate the treacherous terrain of their relationship. Each word, each gesture, was a carefully orchestrated act aimed at appeasing Shizuku's possessive nature. Unbeknownst to her, Akun had become an actor on the stage of their hearts, masking his true intentions beneath a veneer of compliance. The reason for this charade remained veiled in secrecy, a tantalizing mystery that cast a long shadow over their precarious romance. Amidst the bustling corridors during the respite of afternoon breaks, a subtle yet potent magic was rumored to unfold. It was said that certain individuals possessed the enigmatic ability to weave their will upon others during these brief intervals. While the tools employed remained largely inconspicuous, their impact could be profound. Hypnosis, or its kindred arts, were whispered to be at the heart of this arcane practice. While the subject nestled into a deep trance, expertly manipulated by the hypnotist's hypnotic incantations, the author couldn't resist a chuckle. This hypnosis business is like a stage magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, but without the half-decent illusions. And therein lay an undeniable truth: the art of persuasion could wield an uncanny power. Even if the initial attempts at hypnosis faltered, it was not beyond the realm of possibility for a skilled manipulator to feign its success. The answers, once concealed, would then come spilling forth like water from a broken vessel. It was a tactic that skirted the fringes of fairness, yet today, the tables had turned. Rinko, an exemplar of academic excellence, had deftly persuaded Shizuku to assume the mantle of day duty. Her keen mind had been meticulously plotting this moment, observing every nuance and seeking to unravel the secrets that lingered in Shizuku's heart since the fateful kiss she had shared with their enigmatic classmate. Pass your duty off to others? You might as well hand over your brain and ask your dog to do your taxes. It's not just a bad idea, it's like giving a toddler a box of matches and asking them to fix dinner. Just don't expect her to do good. As Rinko stepped across the threshold of Shizuku's room, her heart pounded with a mixture of trepidation and anticipation. The air crackled with tension as she embarked on a mission to unravel the enigma that had enveloped her. Meanwhile, in the tranquil embrace of the living room, Atkin deftly prepared a steaming cup of tea, his movements measured and graceful. Shizuku exuded an air of unshakable confidence, a facade that masked the depths of her cunning. Deep down, she harbored an unwavering belief that her secrets would remain concealed. With a practiced ease, Rinko's gaze swept across the room, pausing momentarily at the desk. There, in the far corner, lay Shizuku's damning evidence, exposed and vulnerable. Get ready for a hilarious roller coaster ride of secrets that can't be concealed. Hold on tight and prepare for the unexpected as these hidden gems unleash a whirlwind of laughter. Just remember, what's whispered in the shadows will inevitably find its way into the spotlight of this uproarious tale. As Rinko's mind raced back over recent events, the strange inconsistencies that had plagued Atkin's conversations with her now made sense. If she had been privy to the whispers circulating about Hayami-kun, she would have noticed the sheen of sweat soaking his jersey, a telltale sign of the grueling training he was enduring in preparation for the upcoming sports festival. Yet Rinko had remained oblivious, as if caught in a cosmic dance of deceit. In that instant, Rinko realized that Shizuku's actions were not merely the product of her habitual manipulative tendencies. She was orchestrating a deliberate facade, a carefully crafted illusion designed to keep her true intentions shrouded in mystery. Shizuku was testing the waters, gauging the depth of Rinko's suspicions, eager to determine if the burgeoning rumors had reached her ears. In the absence of concrete evidence, Rinko would have resorted to invoking the concept of hypnosis, basing her conclusions solely on Atkin's reaction. Just like a cheap magician, his lies are so transparent you can see the clumsy tricks behind them. Even a blindfolded toddler could spot the holes in his stories faster than a cheater in a game of poker. However, armed with two irrefutable pieces of evidence, she is convinced that Atkin is merely feigning hypnosis. Rinko has resolved to inform Shizuku of this discovery tomorrow, ending their tumultuous relationship while sparing her any further details about Atkin's deception. This decision is driven by Rinko's understanding of Atkin's profound fear of losing Shizuku and his consequent decision to perpetuate the illusion of hypnosis. Should Atkin's charade continue unabated, it would inevitably lead to the demise of his relationship with Shizuku. Shizuku's guilt over her perceived role in Atkin's alleged hypnosis would drive her to distance herself emotionally, fostering resentment for his prolonged deception. In an act of self-preservation, Shizuku would seek to justify her actions, further fueling the rift between them. Like a fly caught in a spider's web, once you find yourself entangled in chaos, the path to liberation becomes as elusive as a mirage in the desert. Remember, dear readers, sometimes it's best to avoid dipping your toes in the pool of madness, lest you become a permanent resident. Rinko's decision to withhold the underlying reasons for Atkin's deception is not born out of malice, but rather a compassionate understanding of the intricate complexities of his situation. She recognizes that Atkin's fear of losing Shizuku stems from a deep-seated insecurity and a desperate desire to maintain their connection, albeit through deception. By sparing Shizuku the burden of knowing these vulnerabilities, Rinko hopes to soften the blow of their impending separation and shield her from unnecessary pain. Driven to the brink of desperation, Akon beseeched Rinko on his knees, his pleas echoing with anguish. He implored her to keep his secret from Shizuku, his voice laced with a desperation that only served to fuel Rinko's ire. Rinko's lips parted with a lightness that belied Akon's desperation. She dismissed his concerns, declaring that Shizuku's failed hypnosis held no significance. However, for Rinko, it mattered profoundly. Despite her confusion over Shizuku's failure, she sensed an underlying truth that Akon desperately tried to conceal. Looks like my grave will be a bit lonely because God knows Rinko will never let him out of her clutches. Shizuku's hypnosis attempt had been so audacious and unorthodox that it had been met with skepticism from Rinko. Shizuku had expressed unwavering confidence in her ability to resist hypnosis, a conviction that Rinko believed concealed her true intentions. She suspected that Shizuku must have experimented on another unsuspecting subject, meticulously preparing for her confrontation with Akon. Rinko recognized the dire implications of Shizuku's failure. If she had been unable to hypnotize Akon, it would raise questions about his affection for her, potentially severing their fragile bond. Rinko could not bear the thought of Akon feigning friendliness towards Shizuku, and she resolved to end his masquerade at all costs. Even a sloth on Red Bull couldn't match her unwavering resolve to pull this off. Her determination was so rock solid, it could have served as a doorstop for the gates of Hades. She was like a tiny chihuahua guarding a bag of radioactive tacos, fiercely determined to protect her mission at all costs. In a heated confrontation, Rinko and Akon engaged in a bitter argument. Rinko uttered hurtful words, accusing Shizuku of being a changed person. Akon, on the other hand, believed Shizuku had undergone a transformation for the better. Well, the author sure had a chuckle at Shizuku's transformation, wondering if she just traded her bookworm ways for a different kind of obsession, namely, chasing after some dull guy. But hey, who's to say that's a change for the worse? After all, a little romance can add some spice to an otherwise monotonous life. However, amidst the turmoil, Rinko's demeanor shifted dramatically. Tears streaming down her face, she confessed her true feelings for Akon. She admitted to her past cruelty, but expressed an inability to stand idly by any longer. With a heavy heart, she handed Akon a book, promising to complete its contents and accept his rejection if he found it unsatisfactory. She left abruptly, leaving the book and a chilling message. If you don't truly like it, you can stop with the same lie. The plot thickened as it emerged that Rinko had surreptitiously obtained the hypnosis book from Shizuku's room. With meticulous care, she replaced it before retrieving it once more. After Shizuku retired for the night, Akon discovered the book unlocked. It was then that he deciphered the profound significance of Rinko's words and the purpose of the hypnosis book. Rinko intended to use the same hypnotic techniques Shizuku had employed to bind him. Remember, folks, don't do unto others what you wouldn't want them to do to your hamster. Trust me, I've seen what hamsters can get up to when they're offended. She orchestrated the confrontation and acted the part of an unstable woman obsessed with Akon to manipulate him into submission. Everything had been meticulously calculated, including the lie that Shizuku hypnotized Akon. By invoking the same hypnotic trigger, Rinko aimed to exert control over him, using her own twisted methods to claim his affections. This is going to be a mess. Warning: female best friends with concealed crushes are not for the faint of heart. Be prepared for heart rate spikes, butterflies that feel like pterodactyls, and the constant nagging fear that they might dispatch a team of ninjas after you when you least expect it. In the realm of platonic relationships, the enigmatic bond between a boy and a girl's best friend has long been shrouded in complexity. While it offers companionship, laughter, and a sense of belonging, it can also inadvertently sow seeds of romantic longing and emotional turmoil. As boys navigate the treacherous waters of adolescence, the presence of a close female confidant can be both a solace and a source of confusion. The carefree innocence of childhood friendships gradually gives way to flickering feelings, leaving boys grappling with uncharted emotional terrain. The girl who was once simply a friend now holds the potential to evoke yearnings that defy easy categorization. Yet, amidst the swirling maelstrom of conflicting emotions, there lies an unyielding truth. Having a girl best friend as a boy can be an incredibly rewarding experience. She offers a unique perspective, providing insights and a level of understanding that male friends may not be able to fathom. Her empathy and emotional intelligence become a beacon of support during life's inevitable ups and downs. In the quiet moments, when doubts creep in and self-esteem falters, the unwavering presence of a girl's best friend can act as a soothing balm. Her words of encouragement, her gentle touch, and her unwavering belief in him have the power to mend shattered spirits and restore hope. She becomes a sanctuary where he can seek refuge from the judgmental gaze of the world, knowing that he will always be accepted for who he truly is. Thus, while the path of a boy navigating a best friendship bond with a girl is not without its challenges, it is a journey worth embracing. In those friendships, boys find not only companionship, but also a profound sense of security and emotional growth. They learn to appreciate the value of female perspectives and the power of genuine connection, qualities that will serve them well throughout their lives. As the month of May drew near its end, and with midterm examinations looming just 1 week away, a dedicated young man named Ryuichi immersed himself in a rigorous study regimen in preparation for the upcoming challenges. Determined to emerge triumphant in his match against the formidable Hayami, as well as the selection relay, he spent countless hours poring over mathematical formulas, his mind tirelessly absorbing every equation and theorem. If math were a superhero, its cape would be shaped like a giant calculator, and its sidekick would be a talking protractor named Angle Ina. Don't be alarmed if you hear numbers whispering to you. It's just math using its numberpathy powers to confuse you. Beware of the dreaded pirates who sail the treacherous waters of trigonometry, stealing your sanity with their endless decimals. Math is like a mischievous genie. It grants wishes in the form of impossible equations and logic puzzles. But don't fear, you can always bribe it with candy or write letters to the math fairy asking for help. Just remember, math is not the enemy. It's merely an alien language designed to make us feel inadequate. By his side, Rinko, a constant companion and a beacon of academic excellence, proved an invaluable ally. With a keen eye for detail and unwavering patience, she meticulously reviewed Ryuichi's work, offering gentle corrections and insightful guidance whenever he stumbled. Together, they embarked on a week-long study marathon. Rinko's exceptional abilities as a top-performing student lent unmatched clarity and structure to their learning sessions. Under Rinko's expert tutelage, Akin's understanding of mathematics blossomed at an unprecedented rate. Concepts that had once eluded him now became crystal clear, and his confidence soared. Regarding the dual roles, the author quipped, "Hey, I'm like a Swiss Army knife of education and camaraderie. I can help you ace your calculus exam and then join you for a night of karaoke without missing a beat." Rinko is really the primary defining characteristic of a great friend. To Akin's astonishment, in a recent math quiz, his once struggling mind had achieved an impressive 90%, a testament to the transformative power of Rinko's guidance. While engaged in the act of imparting knowledge, the female instructor's ample bosom pressed against the male student's body, causing him significant discomfort. He firmly instructed her to cease this behavior, but she stubbornly refused, driven by the unshakable belief that he held an ardent affection for her bosoms. As the author, I can't help but wonder how it must feel to accidentally caress your best friend's bosom. I imagine it's like discovering a soft, fluffy cloud that you can't help but give an experimental squeeze, leading to an awkward and hilarious moment that you'll both never forget. Akin, the enigmatic figure who had placed her in the enigmatic trance, had instilled this conviction within her, compelling him to exercise restraint in his demands. Yet the question lingered, are these the actions of a truly hypnotized individual? She rationalized the events unfolding, attributing them to the extraordinary potency of the hypnosis. The prospect dawned upon her that this trance may forever remain unbroken, an eternal shadow cast over her mind. Rinko's conviction regarding Akin as the perpetrator of her grief weighed heavily upon him, demanding unwavering accountability for his actions. The weight of his transgressions laid bare the undeniable consequence he must endure. Should he choose to flee from justice, she asserted, he would be stripped of his right to lament his demise, for he was fully cognizant of the perilous path he treads. Embracing the gravity of his culpability, Akin acknowledged the burden he bore. With an air of resignation, he solemnly uttered the words of responsibility she demanded, his voice imbued with a sincerity that gave credence to his proclamation. Ah, responsibility. The secret ingredient that turns a man into a responsible being and makes him infinitely more enjoyable to be around. It's like sprinkles on a sundae. It makes everything better. To further cement the authenticity of his vow, he leaned forward and enveloped her in a tender embrace, striding to convey the depth of his remorse through a gesture that defied feigned emotion. Overwhelmed by his sincere display of contrition, Rinko's heart welled with a profound sense of relief. Overjoyed and filled with a surge of hope, she uttered a vow of unyielding devotion, promising to remain by Akan's side for the remainder of their days. Well, thank goodness she knocked. Unlike some uncivilized individuals who barge in without a care in the world, she has the common sense to announce her presence. But hey, at least it wasn't the time when Rinko stripped. Akan's resolve faltered slightly at her unexpected declaration, yet he welcomed the glimmer of redemption it offered. Their intimate moment was abruptly shattered by a resounding knock upon the door, effectively severing the delicate thread of connection they had woven. Shizuku's voice, etched with a mixture of curiosity and concern, echoed into the room, demanding to know the nature of their secluded encounter. The situation is dire. If he remains idle, his academic aspirations will be irrevocably shattered. A conflict is imminent before he has even gained a rudimentary understanding of the situation. Despite his apparent desire to escape, there is Rinko, a formidable presence who will intervene on his behalf. She informs Shizuku that Akan's intentions are pure, and that he seeks to demonstrate his affection for Shizuku by excelling in his studies, prompting her to assist him in his endeavors. As I meticulously crafted this tale of deceit, a chuckle escaped my lips. Who would have thought that a lifetime of unwavering scholarly pursuit would grant her the ultimate superpower, the uncanny ability to spin yarns so convincingly they'd make the greatest skeptics cry, "Uncle." Oh, the irony, how the pillars of academia had unknowingly forged my talent for deception. Yet as I watched my audience succumb to my lies with unwavering faith, I couldn't help but wonder if this was a testament to my brilliance or merely a cruel joke on those who placed too much stock in a transcript. However, Rinko's demeanor is a confounding enigma, as it bears no congruence with her utterances. One wonders what her true intentions may be. If she is truly concerned for Akan's well-being, she would spare him any further torment. Yet it appears that she harbors a hidden agenda, seeking to exploit both Rinko and Akan for her own gain. Amidst the aftermath of the chaotic events, a moment of gratitude emerged as he expressed his sincere thanks for her heroic intervention that rescued him from imminent danger. However, his words were swiftly met with a surprising turn of events. Suddenly, a familiar figure lunged upon him, uttering beguiling phrases that sent his heart into a frantic rhythm. Amidst the confusion, he attempted to offer an apology, but Rinko adamantly refused to accept his contrition. With unwavering conviction, she asserted that he held no reason to apologize. Akan, now a mature 17-year-old, should possess the understanding that words, both spoken and unspoken, wield the power to offer solace and comfort. When encountering a remarkably mature 17-year-old, one can't help but ponder the paradoxical truth that nature decided to grant wisdom and a fully developed frontal lobe to a teenager who still thinks it's hilarious to moon the neighborhood while wearing their dad's dentures. It's like fate's way of saying, "Here you go, son, now please behave responsibly," while you're simultaneously obsessed with mastering the art of Wet Willy. I mean, who needs a prefrontal cortex when you can spend hours perfecting the ultimate armpit fart? Balancing on the delicate tightrope of morality, their conversation reached a crucial juncture. Rinko firmly stated her position, not seeking mere words of regret, but urging him to take accountability for his actions, to recognize the impact his choices have on the lives of others. Tears streamed down her face as the realization washed over her that Akan had exploited her, leaving her with nothing but a void. Akan, whom she had perceived as a meek and pliable soul, had audaciously taken advantage of her, demanding menial tasks without even the decency to offer a recompense. In her desperation, she had clung to the hope that Akan's timid nature would render him incapable of any bold gestures, envisioning him, at the very least, extending an invitation for a date. While she expected a casual date, she got a cheek-lighting kiss instead, leaving her momentarily disarmed. This unexpected embrace was like a rogue wave crashing onto her shores, sending ripples of both delight and bewilderment through her being. As the moment hung between them, the author couldn't help but quip, "Well, I guess they say to expect the unexpected." But this was like a surprise to Name. However, fate had a cruel twist in store for her. Instead of the expected meekness, Akan commanded her to turn around, his voice devoid of the usual hesitation. With deft precision, he planted a gentle kiss on her cheek. The suddenness of his action left her reeling, shattering the image of the passive Akan she had constructed in her mind. Following their exploration, they dedicated themselves to studying, driven by the impending midterm exams. However, despite his efforts, the student realized that at his current pace, he stood no chance of surpassing Hayami-kun, a formidable rival who consistently averaged 90. Yet Rinko remained unwavering in her belief in his potential, confident that victory would ultimately be his. Of course, women would prevail in this battle of wits. From their innate ability to outtalk and outnegotiate any man to their mastery of the passive-aggressive art form, females undeniably hold the upper hand in verbal combat. While men may attempt to employ brute force or logical arguments, women resort to the secret weapons of sarcasm, guilt-tripping, and emotional manipulation, leaving their male counterparts utterly defeated and bewildered. As the day of the midterm exam arrived, the student diligently completed his test, ultimately achieving a respectable score of 85. However, this score paled in comparison to Hayami's anticipated 90, leaving the student filled with doubt. While being an excellent student isn't a stroll in the park, it requires endless nights of fighting sleep, sacrificing all your free time, and consuming gallons of coffee to power through. Alas, with this much commitment and preservation, you might just make it, or at least have an excellent caffeine addiction to show for it. He strived hard, so I guess he'll be winning. The moment arrived to collect the test papers from the adjacent desks, a pivotal moment that would determine their fate. Undeterred by normal expectations, the student clung to Rinko's plan, knowing that even if he deviated from conventional paths, victory was within his grasp. With unwavering determination, he embarked on his mission, guided by Rinko's ingenious strategy. In a cunning scheme that intertwined their destinies, Rinko and Akon embarked on a daring plan to secure their desired academic standing. Rinko, a relentless competitor driven by her unyielding determination to maintain her position as the class valedictorian, devised a plan that would propel him to the top. Apparently, the adage "love is blind" holds true, for it seems to blind students to the importance of their grades. Alongside her accomplice, Akon, she meticulously orchestrated their strategy, exchanging answer sheets with the utmost precision. In that way, our MC will be able to win the bet. Akon, a skilled wordsmith with an uncanny ability to mimic handwriting styles, took on the daunting task of replicating Rinko's meticulously crafted responses. Stroke by stroke, he painstakingly endeavored to match the subtle nuances and idiosyncratic flourishes that made her penmanship unique. Yet despite his diligent efforts, the challenge proved insurmountable, as Akon's hand inevitably betrayed his own distinct style. As the fateful day of the exam approached, the pair executed their plan with flawless precision. Rinko, brazenly submitting Akon's answer sheet as her own, brazenly defied the established norms. Peeking over the blinds, my heart raced like a hummingbird on Red Bull. I'm too scared to look, fearing the nightmare of catching their characters in the act of literary infidelity. Akon, in turn, relinquished his own hard-earned responses, willingly sacrificing his hopes of academic triumph for the sake of his cunning accomplice. Amidst the hushed silence of the exam hall, a meticulously orchestrated scheme unfolded. As the students diligently completed their assessments, the clock ticked relentlessly, adding to the mounting tension. Finally, with the stroke of a pen, the last words were etched onto the answer sheets, bringing the arduous ordeal to a close. The moment of truth arrived as the papers were meticulously collected, their fate now resting in the hands of the vigilant teacher in charge. And so the moment of truth arrived, and fate, like a mischievous imp, skipped merrily along, its tongue firmly planted in its cheek. I couldn't help but chuckle at the irony, for even in the direst of circumstances, fate managed to find its own peculiar brand of humor. As the sheets were scrutinized, the deception remained undetected, its traces cleverly concealed. Each answer sheet, bearing the impeccable calligraphy of Akon's hand, occupied its rightful place, seemingly matching the numerical sequence of the students' attendance numbers. In a matter of mere seconds, she had surreptitiously passed the test paper into the teacher's waiting hands. Simultaneously, a seamless exchange occurred, ensuring that the blank answer sheet now lay in her possession. The memory of Akon's unwavering promise reverberated within her mind, a promise that everything would be all right, as it was for his sake that she was embarking on this perilous mission. Thus, she resolved to carry out the task, no matter the cost. Before relinquishing the test papers to the teacher's watchful gaze, she orchestrated an elaborate ruse. With feigned carelessness, she allowed the sheets to flutter from her grasp, scattering across the floor. Swiftly, she issued an apology, assuring the teacher that she would rectify the situation promptly. As she bent over to retrieve the fallen papers, her body contorted into a tantalizing pose that captivated the attention of both the teacher and the students alike. It's a classic feminine strategy. Feign weakness and vulnerability, then strike with the power of 1,000 suns. Who needs muscles when you have charm? This approach is as effective as it is adorable, leaving your opponents disarmed and wondering what just hit them. Their eyes were irrevocably drawn to her, mesmerized by the spectacle unfolding before them. Amidst the commotion, the clandestine exchange of answer sheets went unnoticed, as though a cosmic force had intervened to guide their vision elsewhere. It was a masterful application of eye guidance, a technique commonly employed in the enigmatic art of magic. At that moment, Akan came to an alarming realization. Rinko was not merely an ordinary girl. Beneath her seemingly innocent facade lurked a woman of extraordinary cunning and resourcefulness. His heart pounded with a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation as he witnessed the effortless audacity with which she manipulated the situation to her advantage. Beware, dear reader, for women possess a mischievousness that can devour you whole. They wield a charm so potent that it lures you into their web like a hapless moth, only to be devoured by their sly smiles and cunning wit. So heed my warning, my friend, and do not underestimate the formidable power of a woman scorned. For her tongue is sharper than a serpent's tooth, and her claws can rend you limb from limb with a grace that would make a tiger blush. Woven with intricate threads of destiny, women emerge as beacons of intelligence that often surpass the boundaries of societal expectations. Through the trials and tribulations that shape our journeys, we have proven that our minds are sharp, our hearts valiant, and our spirits unyielding. In the end, the realization dawns upon us that women are the embodiment of true intelligence. They possess the wisdom, the courage, and the unwavering spirit to overcome obstacles and create a brighter future for all. They are the architects of dreams, the guardians of hope, and the source of inspiration for generations to come. Therefore, let us celebrate the remarkable intelligence of women and never underestimate the transformative power of their unwavering hearts and brilliant minds. Nearly 2 weeks had passed since the fateful midterm examinations, and as the sweltering heat of mid-June enveloped the air, Hayami-kun couldn't shake the lingering disbelief that gnawed at his core. He had been outperformed by Akan, a figure often shrouded in shadows and considered an unlikely rival. The fact that Akan had surpassed Sasaki-san, the undisputed genius, had left Hayami-kun in a state of disbelief. Time flew faster than a bat out of a burning cave, leaving me with whispers of things I should have done but didn't. It slipped away like sand through my fingers, making me wonder if my life was on vacation, leaving me with boring old work. Each day unfurled like a magician's silk, disappearing into a puff of nothing before I could say abracadabra, leaving me to ponder where the time had gone, as though stolen by a mischievous elf. This is what everybody feels in their regrets. To his dismay, the outcome of the midterms remained unchanged. Akan stood triumphant in the coveted first place, while Rinko gracefully secured the second position. Hayami-kun found himself relegated to a lowly ranking, a bitter reminder of his loss. My, look at you, my overzealous young grasshopper. You thought you could leap over mountains, swim across oceans, and conquer the world with ease. But alas, in the face of adversity, your bitterness reveals the truth. You bit off more than you could chew. Pitiful, really. Yet, as he ruminated over the results, a glimmer of doubt lingered in his mind. If Rinko had not intervened, changing her answer sheet with remarkable foresight, the outcome might have been decidedly different. He could have relinquished his victory to Rinko, relegating himself to the second spot in the rankings. The thought filled him with a mix of regret and frustration, a testament to the fragility of his hard-earned success. Cheating can give you a false sense of accomplishment, but it's like using steroids to win a race. You may win the race, but you'll always know that you didn't do it fairly, and it won't feel the same as an honest victory. Just as an airplane that cheats the wind by flying with it will never know the exhilaration of soaring against it. So my advice is, don't be afraid to fail, because it's the only way you'll truly learn and improve, and the only way you'll experience the true joy of success. Regrettably, without adhering to the prerequisites outlined by Shizuku, his path to victory would have been obstructed. His decision to resort to dishonest tactics, an indisputable act, allowed him to prevail in the match. However, this triumph cannot be seen as a true challenge to Hayami, who dedicated himself relentlessly to the pursuit of knowledge. The upcoming sports festival presents a new opportunity, the selection relay, where Hayami has vowed to unleash his extraordinary speed and secure victory. Déjà vu round 2. The first loss was a warm-up, a gentle nudge. But now, faced with the prospect of losing again, I can't shake the feeling that I've hopped into a time machine and am reliving a nightmare. Here we go again. The losing streak continues, and with it, my dignity hangs by a thread. It is important to note that the sports festival does not tolerate the dubious tactics employed in the grade test. Sheer luck alone cannot propel one to success in this arena. The inherent disparities will always prevail, rendering any attempts at deception futile. Even though his performance might be influenced by his physical state or external factors on any given day, his destiny had already been predetermined. They had declared that the last person to cross the finish line in the selection relay would be the victor. He was almost certain that this was the condition they would need to meet. Correct, he and Hayami would serve as the anchors and determine the race's outcome. Shizuku would accept Hayami's invitation to go out with him if he triumphed, but if he was defeated, the subject would remain closed. Our MC, driven by his unwavering determination, practiced with all his might, with Shizuku diligently providing him with water. He readily confessed that his diligent efforts were driven by his desire for Shizuku. Well, look who finally decided to fess up. It took a while, but we knew you'd crack eventually, you absolute buffoon. Now off you go to serve your time, you dolt. Let's hope this experience teaches you a thing or two about keeping your nose clean, dimwit. Shizuku had made multiple attempts to hypnotize him into performing outlandish actions. Now that he has overcome that hurdle, there should be no doubt about the efficacy of hypnosis as a tool for Shizuku. He gazed tenderly at his precious little sister, vowing to shield her from Hayami's machinations. While Shizuku may have impulsively dared him to embark on this perilous mission, the weight of her potential fate now lay heavy on his heart. Should he falter against the swift currents of the relay race, Shizuku would be forced to endure Hayami's unwelcome advances. Yet victory against such formidable odds seemed like an insurmountable feat even with the aid of his trusty sword. Aye, dimwit, you are vastly underestimating your own capabilities. How can you possibly expect to win with such a defeatist attitude? Have some confidence in yourself, you dolt. As they shared a moment of intimate introspection, Shizuku confessed her conflicted emotions towards her brother. Long hidden beneath a veil of feigned indifference, her genuine affection for Akon surfaced. She admitted to the manipulative spell she had cast upon him, revealing the depth of her inner turmoil. Through their heartfelt exchange of words, it seemed as if Shizuku was finally embracing honesty, shedding the weight of secrets that had long burdened her. Rinko's timely arrival proved instrumental in helping him secure another victory. They devised a strategy where Akon would gain a substantial lead from the outset, giving them a significant advantage. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he expressed his appreciation to Rinko, acknowledging her unwavering support despite his inability to fulfill his vow of protecting his sister. Bidding farewell to his companions, he retreated to the restroom, promising to return to the waiting area 30 minutes prior to the relay's commencement. His departure was a necessary step in maintaining the illusion of Shizuku's hypnosis, which he had meticulously orchestrated. In a tireless pursuit to preserve their relationship, he had willingly endured a myriad of humiliating and audacious acts. Aren't we the lovebirds today? It's like watching two puppies trying to chase their own tails, utterly clueless and embarrassingly adorable. They say love makes the world go round, but I'd wager it also pumps up the oxygen levels in the brain, making it impossible to act logically. If only they could see themselves through my cynical eyes, he'd realize how utterly ridiculous they look. He had publicly declared his love for his younger sibling in the presence of his closest childhood companion. He had lent his voice to the fictional musings of his stepsister's protagonist. He had even donned the attire of a woman for a book signing event, a transformative experience that defied his prior convictions. And now he had resorted to hypnotizing his longtime friend to secure academic supremacy. Amidst the whirlwind of events, the triumph of securing first place in the relay race paled in comparison to the arduous challenges that loomed ahead. Despite the relentless toll it had taken on his body and mind, he pressed forward, feigning hypnosis, donning the guise of a clown to coax laughter from Shizuku's heart. Driven by a deep-rooted bond, he remained unwavering in his quest to ignite his sister's laughter. Better than a sister's laughter? Why, it's the sound of your own footfalls as you hightail it out of a family gathering after dropping a particularly pungent whoopee cushion on Grandma's prized doily. The panic scramble to escape the olfactory assault, the stifled giggles from behind closed doors, and the frantic search for a suitable scapegoat. It's a symphony of comical chaos that's worth every sideways glance and disapproving glare. Yet, amidst the chaos, a gnawing uncertainty lingered in his mind, calling into question the righteousness of his actions. Undeterred by his own weariness, he continued to exhaust himself in relentless practice, his body succumbing to the relentless strain. As he collapsed, drained, and exhausted, a poignant realization washed over him. His unwavering love for Shizuku would always eclipse his own well-being. Oh my gosh, he's not bleeding. Wait, no, he is. The crimson liquid slowly oozed from his forehead, forming a delicate arc as it cascaded down his face. Talk about a surprise twist. A living, breathing, undeadly individual. Amidst the tapestry of life, we encounter souls that ignite a flicker within us, a longing that transcends reason. For them, we embark upon arduous journeys, traversing treacherous paths and enduring untold sacrifices. We toil tirelessly, driven by an unyielding determination, even when the pain seems almost unbearable. In the depths of our struggle, a peculiar realization dawned upon us. The suffering we endured was not an oppressive burden, but an ethereal embrace. It intertwined with our love, becoming a testament to our unwavering devotion. The pain served as a constant reminder of the profound connection we shared, a bond that transcended the limitations of flesh. Undeterred, we pressed forward, our spirits unyielding. The mere thought of our loved ones' happiness fueled our resolve, propelling us through countless obstacles. The pain became a beacon, illuminating the path we must tread to reach them. It was a testament to our love's enduring strength, a testament to our unwavering determination to stand by their side, come what may. In the annals of our journey, the pain we endured would forever be entwined with the love that inspired it. It became a cherished memory, a badge of honor we proudly wore as we continued to strive for our beloved, knowing that the depth of our suffering was but a measure of the immeasurable depths of our affection. The key to Akon's potential triumph over Hayami in the selection relay lies in the format of the race itself. Unlike an individual contest, this relay involves collaboration between 2 boys and 2 girls, effectively eliminating the possibility of a solo victory. The crucial element here is the cumulative effort of the first 3 runners, who must establish a substantial lead before handing over the baton to Akon for the final leg. Such a strategy would diminish the odds stacked against him and increase his prospects of securing victory. Coincidentally, a recent bout of stomach distress afflicting one of Akon's teammates has prompted Rinko to harbor suspicions of foul play by Hayami. Well, if it isn't the little trickster trying to pull a fast one. Don't think you can play dirty and not expect some payback. Karma has a funny way of biting back, honey. It's like a mischievous imp just waiting for the perfect moment to trip you up. And when it does, you'll be left with a big old grin on your face, wondering how you ever thought you could outsmart the universe. So go ahead, keep playing dirty. But be warned, the laughter may soon be on your side. She firmly believes that this setback was orchestrated by Hayami, who seeks to undermine Akon's chances in the race. Rinko's accusation underscores the intense rivalry and animosity between Akon and Hayami, a dynamic that further intensifies the stakes of the upcoming selection relay. Oh, the irony! Threatened people, the epitome of insecurity, writhe in the venomous embrace of envy. They lash out like vipers, desperate to puncture the balloons of happiness floating by. Their words, like shards of glass, shatter against the impenetrable armor of self-assurance. For it is those who stand tall amidst the tempest, unyielding and true, who truly wield the power to render jealousy impotent. So to the threatened souls who dare to cast their shadow, I offer this sage advice. Fear not the light, for it exposes the ugliness that festers within. Embrace growth, seek self-improvement, and learn to revel in the triumphs of others. For it is in that moment of celebration that the shackles of envy will finally break, setting you free to bask in the radiant glow of true contentment. Amidst the labyrinthine corridors of the bustling hospital, a poignant convergence of emotions unfolded. Hayami, with his characteristic stoicism, confronted Rinko, his voice tinged with equal parts concern and exasperation. "My dear Rinko," he implored, "refrain from uttering such baseless accusations. I firmly believe that your ailments are genuine and require immediate medical attention." However, Rinko's gaze betrayed a stark contrast to Hayami's measured demeanor. Her eyes flickered with a mixture of fear and unease, as if an unseen threat loomed over her. This enigmatic behavior left Hayami bewildered and deeply troubled. As fate would have it, a vacancy had arisen within the hospital staff, leaving a void that needed to be filled swiftly. Desperation etched across Hayami's face as he inquired. Rinko, her mind racing with trepidation, reached out frantically to Akon, her repeated calls echoing through the corridors. Yet he remained unconscious, still succumbing to the effects of a severe head injury. Miraculously, Rinko's arrival at the hospital was timely, as it was her presence that brought a glimmer of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. Undeterred by the crimson stream seeping from the gash on his head, his resolve burned fiercely with a singular purpose: to secure victory in this relay race for the precious Shizuku. Summoning every ounce of strength, he rose to his feet, his footsteps resounding with determination. Despite Rinko's initial hesitation at the sight of the humble 5-yen coin he proffered for her hypnotic assistance, she ultimately yielded to his plea. Commanding the crowd to clear a path, Rinko's piercing gaze searched for the figure of their target. As the anchor leg approached its climax, the moment of truth arrived. Rinko forcefully apprehended Shizuku, explaining the urgent need for her presence on their team. "I just wish Shizuki would agree for Akan's sake. They're such a cute couple, and I know they'd be so happy together. Plus, it would make my job as an author so much easier. I mean, come on, how am I supposed to write a romantic comedy when the main couple can't even get together? It's like trying to write a mystery novel with no clues." Shizuku's feeble protests were met with a swift slap as Rinko rebuked her for imposing her misguided ideals upon Akan. Unflinching in her determination, Rinko could not fathom how Shizuku would dare stand in the way of her friend's happiness. With the relentless march of the relay approaching its conclusion, time was running out. Shizuku's participation was paramount. The weight of his shortcomings pressed heavily upon Akan as he navigated the arduous path that lay ahead. His academic endeavors had always proved fruitless, and the prospect of physical excellence seemed equally elusive. When faced with Shizuku's audacious demand that he claim victory in both the sports relay and midterm exams, an overwhelming sense of despair engulfed him. Nevertheless, the flicker of a flame burned within him, fueled by an unyielding loyalty to Shizuku. This unwavering bond had been his solace, the driving force that had sustained him amidst countless disappointments. It was for her sake alone that he toiled tirelessly, relentlessly pursuing her lofty ideals, even when they seemed unattainable. Rinko, too, had embarked upon an arduous journey marked by unwavering determination. Through sheer force of will, she had overcome insurmountable obstacles, achieving results that others deemed impossible. This was her final chance to triumph, not for her own glory, but for Akan, who had sacrificed so much in the pursuit of Shizuku's dreams. Despite her aversion to such platitudes, Rinko felt compelled to utter the words that echoed the depth of her commitment. Her voice is heavy with emotion. They need each other. He will prevail for he, and she will shatter every barrier that stands in your way. This is the paramount moment, the ultimate test of their unwavering resolve. Fighting tooth and nail for the one you love? How ridiculously adorable. Amidst the electrifying atmosphere of the track and field competition, Shizuku's resolve ignited the battle between two formidable adversaries. Her actions may have initiated the race, but her steadfast determination extended beyond the starting line. She resolutely refused to be swayed by Rinko's commands, her unwavering loyalty directed toward her brother. Like a modern-day vow of celibacy, my loyalty to you has me living a life of pious devotion, except instead of a habit, I wear a baseball cap with your name stitched on it. Talk about blind faith. I'd stand by you even if you were caught with your pants down, figuratively speaking, of course. But hey, at least she is not a nun, or they'd have to take this whole thing to the next level and get married to the church. Shizuku recognized the crucial role she had to play in securing victory for her team, and she was determined not to be burdened by external influences. As the relay commenced, a substantial gap separated the two teams. However, Rinko's exceptional speed swiftly narrowed the distance, eclipsing even their most optimistic expectations. With each stride, the gap diminished, leaving the spectators in awe of her unparalleled agility. Yet, amidst Rinko's triumph, tragedy struck. Akan, consumed by his zeal to maintain the lead, stumbled and sustained an injury. Injuries are the worst, like an unwelcome party guest who shows up unexpectedly, stays too long, and leaves a lingering stench of discomfort. They're the uninvited house guests that you can't get rid of, no matter how much you try to ignore them. Injuries are the nagging pain that won't leave you alone, like a persistent mosquito buzzing around your head. They're the reason why you'll be stuck on the couch, binge-watching Friends reruns instead of living your best life. But hey, at least you can make up for it by sharing hilariously exaggerated stories about how you got your injuries the next day. Shizuku, true to her word, left Rinko behind to pursue her mission, her determination unwavering despite the unexpected hurdle that had befallen her teammate. The smug and cunning Hayami-kun had orchestrated an elaborate scheme that left the unsuspecting Akan dangling precariously. With deft precision, he had tampered with Akan's shoelace, setting the stage for a humiliating stumble that would shatter his confidence. Let's step into the realm of cluelessness, where he's struggling like a giraffe on roller skates. His attempts to salvage the situation are hilariously pathetic, leaving a trail of failed endeavors in his wake. He's like a human Roomba, aimlessly bumping into furniture, desperately trying to justify his actions. The stench of desperation seeps through the cracks of his rationale, a pungent aroma that could gag a vulture. In short, he's the epitome of if IQ was a dance. he'd be doing the limbo with his nose glued to the ground. But Hayami-kun's treachery did not end there. In a cruel and calculated move, he cunningly hinted that Akon held perverse and incestuous desires for his own sister. This outrageous accusation sent shockwaves through the assembled crowd, eliciting gasps and disbelief from those present. Bitchy behavior, sometimes it's the men too. As time slipped away, Akon stood paralyzed on the starting line, his legs seemingly frozen in place. Hopelessness crept into his heart as his limbs refused to obey his commands. However, just when all hope seemed lost, a ray of light pierced the darkness. Rinko and Shizuku, true friends to the end, rallied to Akon's side. With unwavering loyalty, they cheered him on with all their might, their voices rising above the taunts and mockery hurled by Hayami-kun. Their unwavering support gave Akon the strength he needed to overcome the obstacles and charge through the relay contest with vigor. In a thrilling climax, Akon crossed the finish line with a surge of adrenaline, proving that even in the face of adversity, the bonds of friendship could triumph over the machinations of a wicked heart. You know what they say, with a continuous supply of coffee and a tribe of cheerleaders, even scaling Mount Impossible becomes a leisurely stroll. Imagine being an expedition team destined for the top of a seemingly unclimbable peak. But here's the twist. Your crew is armed with an endless supply of laughter, high fives, and an unshakable belief that a good playlist can conquer any obstacle. With each step forward, they serenade the mountain with show tunes, turning the daunting climb into a grand musical. Who needs oxygen when you have jokes and a catchy chorus to keep you going? This daring band of adventurers proves that with continuous support and love, even the most formidable summits can be reduced to mere hills, all while leaving a trail of laughter in their wake. After an extended period of bed rest, our main character, Akon, finally rose from his slumber. However, his first words upon awakening were not a feeble inquiry about his well-being. Instead, he eagerly addressed his companion, Shizuku, with an assertive question about the outcome of the relay contest.